because you know their name was on a flight manifest to that island. Maybe they just flew there and laid on the beach. Who knows?
I'm sure.
But we know what went on at that island. It's like going to a Diddy party.
What does Ghislaine, I always want to, is that how you say your name?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
What does she know? She's sitting in a jail cell.
Something that's keeping her alive is what she knows. And I'm shocked that she's not worked out a deal to get out of jail.
She's there for like 20 more years or something like that?
Something like that. There's no way that only she and Jeffrey Epstein were the ones guilty of whatever it is that they did on that island. There's just no way it was just those two. And anybody else who participated in it should have a scarlet letter branded onto their chests. But they must be powerful enough that they've been able to avoid that. There were people that just want this to go away. And I don't understand it. Let's put it this way. If we can't get to the bottom of it with Donald Trump in the White House, we're never going to get to the bottom of it. And I think Pam Bondi is going to have to appear on a TV station somewhere, a TV program, and explain why she said, I've got the list on my desk. We've heard people say, you're not going to believe it. Wait till this list is released. Now we're told there's no list. Those two things can't be true. Both of those things can't be true. So I'm all in on the criticism on this one. I'm not a Candace Owens fan these days. She's burned too many bridges with me. But she did say famously right after Kash Patel and others promised the list, you will never see a list. Mark my words. And she's apparently right on this one. She's not right on Israel, but she's right on this one. I'll have to give her credit where credit is due. Anyway, they're just a few of the things that happened. Plus, friend sends me video last night from social media that had gone wild of what happened on the 4th of July in downtown St. Louis.
Oh, my gosh.
With people
I know
running down the street, firing Roman candles at cars, and it was like the Wild West.
Oh, it was awful. We were talking about this yesterday because I follow this page called Keeping Up with St. Louis. And they were glorifying it. They were saying, this is amazing. This is why I love our city. And, you know, the chief, actually, I was talking about this in my headlines this morning. The police chief has said, you know, it kind of seemed to work well that we were citing parents for their kids' behavior if they were caught shooting off fireworks over the weekend. We might just continue that for other things.
Why haven't we been doing that all along?
Yeah, I would support that. I'm not saying that's going to completely fix the problem, but at least it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. They soft pedaled this. I saw the interview with the mayor on Channel 4. I don't know, disappointing. There was one case where they arrested a kid, turned him over to his parents, and then they arrested him again later that night when he was back out there doing it again.
Yeah, the mom dropped him back off.
How?
To allow him to continue.
I hope she's in jail this morning,
yeah.
But she's not. Because they don't want to hold anybody truly responsible under this whole thing. Wow, what a shock. Not, said no one ever. All right, glad I'm back on this 8th day of July with so much to talk about. Ethan, let's get to our top stories, please.
The Marc Cox Short List.
I think what we've seen here is exactly what President Trump has envisioned for FEMA is immediately allowing the state to do the response and supporting them in every way that they can.
I would say, listen, they're doing what that's Kristi Noem. She's like, listen, the people in Texas FEMA's there. They were on the ground. There were plenty of warnings. You need to stop all this nonsense about somehow this being Donald Trump's fault.
I've been warning about this for 2 months. I think the last time I did your show, Laura, we talked about it. I also talked about it in the Hannity show. That I've been around a long time. I said if the rhetoric didn't decrease significantly, it's going to end up with loss of life.
Yeah. Tom Homan there, of course, warning about these attacks on ICE. It happened again. This time the shooter ended up the one who was dead. But this is a direct result of the garbage you hear every day out of people like Karen Bass in L.A.
I would love to be able to, at the right time, take those sanctions off, give them a chance at rebuilding, because I'd like to see Iran build itself back up in a peaceful manner and not going around saying death to America, death to the USA, death to Israel.
Thank you. President Trump already nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for a second time now. And he says to Iran, there's a chance here for a deal, but you got to shut your mouth and come to the table.
This is a communist. He's not a socialist. He's a communist. And he's said some really bad things about Jewish people. He needs the money through the White House. He needs a lot. He's going to behave. He'll behave. He better behave. Otherwise, he's going to have big problems.
I love it. I love it. President Trump talking about the possibility of a communist taking over New York City. We've lost our cities. Honestly, we have lost our big cities in this country. We've effectively, St. Louis is close if we haven't lost it already in terms of losing control. But if the Democrat Party allows this to happen, and bear in mind, Mamdani wouldn't be the first socialist to be in charge of New York City. But he is the first one who has publicly said he would arrest the Israeli prime minister if he showed up in New York. He has called for the privatization of grocery stores. He wants to put permanent rent controls in place, telling landlords what they can charge people to live in their apartment buildings. He's for full government control. I heard somebody say this weekend, I listened to a lot of podcasts and programming while I was driving across the country to get back home late on Sunday night. And, somebody said the Democratic Party is writing its own epitaph here if it allows this guy to be the Democrat candidate in New York City and they don't come out and publicly condemn him, because he will be the face of the party. Like, they'd be dead if AOC or Bernie Sanders became the nominee for the presidential ticket. Done. They're done. So, I know he's going to have a couple challenges. The only thing that's going to keep him from getting elected, I'm afraid, in New York City is the other candidates are going to have to agree that one of them will drop out so they can all coalesce behind one other person. That's the only chance they have to keep this guy from taking over the biggest city in America. Unbelievable. The president can hamper him, but it shouldn't happen in the first place. It's really sad. At some point, it's like Escape from New York. We're just going to have to fence off the big cities and send Snake Plissken in when there's a problem. Remember, that show was recorded here in St. Louis, the first one in Union Station. All right. May come true. Let's get to a quick break here. Ethan, who's got our national anthem this morning?
Let's go with the Oak Ridge Boys this morning.
All right.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Good morning to you. We look good on the roads at this hour. We've got light volume out there. I will say there's a little bit of a slowdown on southbound 61 as you head toward Highway A. There's some road work going on out there, and there's a little bit of a delay And we do have a report of a house fire in the 4200 block of Schiller in South City. So fire equipment is on the scene in that area. But other than that, we're good. And that means the interstates look fine at this hour. I'll keep you posted. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, the rain is coming. I saw that there could be some heavy weather this afternoon, in fact, which means you need Home Shield Foundation repairs for sure to get over there and get it taken care of. They can waterproof that basement so that you don't have to dread those forecasts you see from Dave Murray when you know rain is coming, and you know if there's enough of it, the soil's going to get soaked and you're going to start to see water dripping maybe down the walls in your basement or even coming up through the floor. We've had that happen before. So you need to put in drain tiles. Do you need a new sump pump, or you need one put in? All of that can be taken care of so easily by my friend Matt Hayes over at Home Shield Foundation Repairs. Matt's the guy. He's the guy that comes to your house. He also owns the company. He's also a foundation expert who will look at your basement, tell you what needs to be done, and not try to upsell you, which happens often with some of these bigger conglomerates in town. So just be warned about that. Home Shield Foundation Repairs are going to be honest with you. They're going to take care of the problem, and then they're going to hand you a lifetime warranty after they're done, and you're dealing with a local company, and you're dealing directly with Matt. Go to his website today. Schedule your appointment. It's HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-355-8282. That's 800-355-8282. Again, that's 800-355-8282.
If he was in the White House press room, he'd always get called on. Marc Cox. Find everything Marc Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
Yeah, that was Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, right after they got sworn into office. And how do I know that? Well, I watched it, and I played that bite here, and I was so excited because I thought, hey, that's Pam Bondi. That's the new Attorney General. She's standing in front of the White House. She says that on her desk is the list of Jeffrey Epstein's flight list or people, the people that flew to Epstein Island with Jeffrey Epstein, where probably many things happened that you could never talk about on broadcast radio. And yet the DOJ had this information all along, and there haven't been more prosecutions. That's a head scratcher to me. Every single one of those people should be deposed and ask under oath what they saw and witnessed and took part in at Epstein Island. And before long, a few of them would turn state's witness and say, I saw blankety blank over there with a 15-year-old girl, because you know that's what was going on there. He was flying women and maybe children for all we know, maybe male and female for all we know. The females have been the one we've heard about the most. But those are the ones that got the most publicity. But who knows what all went on there? Somebody knows. Ghislaine Maxwell knows, but she's kept her mouth shut because apparently she wants to remain among the living. How powerful are the forces behind keeping this quiet if Pam Bondi, after making a statement like that, is now claiming there's no there? How can that be a thing?
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Okay.
So she kind of hinted that not yet has she seen anything that made her go, oh my gosh. But suddenly Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are declaring firmly that Epstein killed himself, and there's nothing else to say here. So I don't know. It's to me it's a head scratcher. It's a head scratcher to Tom Fitton, because he's been leading the charge, and he says it's hard for him to believe as well. Go to cut number 8 for me.
I don't know. I read the memo 3 or 4 times again this morning, and it's really. I don't think even the Biden administration would have written anything like this.
That's pretty damning to have Tom Fitton say that, right? I hope they come out at some point. I hope the president addresses this. I hope Bongino and Patel address it, because here's the thing: your credibility will only go so far with people who listen to, for sure, Dan Bongino on his syndicated radio show for many years, claiming that Epstein didn't kill himself, and all of a sudden he's admitting Epstein killed himself. And Kash Patel, for that matter, was out there on every podcast and broadcast he could get onto talking about he's going to lift the cover off all this stuff. And now we're told there's nothing. I don't know about you, Kim. I don't buy it. And I'm not quite sure that we'll ever get to the bottom of this. I think it's going to disappoint a lot of people in MAGA land.
Oh, it already has.
Yes.
It's a lot of teasing and acting like there's some big, explosive list we're about to get. And so everyone's kind of waiting with bated breath, and then it's just nothing. So then it's just more frustrating.
Remember how we felt after the big investigation into Hillary Clinton, and we knew she had handled top secret information on unsecure communications. Remember that? And I joked at the time, I'm like, we're never going to get to the bottom of this. I'm like, the powers that be will pull strings to make sure she never sees a day behind bars. And sure enough, it was none other than James Comey, who, while admitting that she was completely guilty of this, finally refused to recommend charges against her, saying he didn't believe a jury would ever convict her, even though they had all kinds of evidence.
Secretary Clinton said, I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material. Was that true?
There was classified material emailed.
Secretary Clinton said she used just one device. Was that true?
She used multiple devices during the 4 years of her term as Secretary of State.
Secretary Clinton said all work-related emails were returned to the State Department. Was that true?
No, we found work-related emails, thousands, that were not returned.
Yeah, that's when I said I feel like Charlie Brown and Lucy, and she pulls the football away at the last minute. And here we go again. Back with Kim on a Whim in just a minute.
97.1 FM Talk is proud to support the first ever Brendan Donovan Charity Clay Shoot happening Thursday, August 7th at Strathelbyn Farms Club in Weldon Spring. Join Cardinals standout Brendan Donovan, teammates, and local celebs for a day of clay shooting and community, all to benefit Team Red, White, and Blue and their mission to support veterans' health and wellness. Don't wait. Sponsorships and shooter spots are going fast. Visit teamrwb.org/Donovan now to sign up. Show your support and make a difference for those who've served. 97.1 FM Talk, backing our veterans every step of the way.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Schedule your free inspection today. Just dial pound 250 on your phone and say the keyword windows. That's pound 250 keyword windows, or head to rbastl.com.
Tony La Russa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
If you're looking for the perfect weekend getaway that's close to home here in St. Louis, it's Innsbrook, just to the west of St. Louis, 100-plus lakes, hiking trails, a gorgeous golf course, and plenty of options for living, either full-time or with a vacation home. And this year at Innsbrook, the new Sonnenhaus homes are available. The Tyrolean Sonnenhaus combines the modern exterior of a treehouse with the cozy interior of a cottage. They are awesome. You can find out more and explore everything about Innsbrook easily at Innsbrook-Resort.com. That's Innsbrook-Resort.com.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
We'll find out today if inflation moderated in June. The Consumer Price Index is released today. Independent analyst Ed Yardeni says tariffs now look to be less severe than they did at first in April and have not jolted the economy. And Peter Anderson at Anderson Capital Management says bond investors are taking that into consideration.
I think the bond market is more responding to this incredible bout of stable economic data that we've had rather than the tariffs. I mean, we're all trying to struggle with a moving target about figuring out the tariffs. That's a much harder puzzle to solve, I think, and we have to be, sadly, in a wait-and-see mode.
The longest ever Amazon Prime Day sale is today through Friday. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
Sponsored by AxeCap Ventures. America, listen up. Gold prices are breaking records. With inflation raging and central banks hoarding, every American should own gold. And like President Trump said, whoever holds the gold makes the rules. AxeCap Ventures owns one of Nevada's largest undeveloped gold deposits and trades for pennies on the dollar. This could be your way to ride the gold boom. AxeCap trades under GARLF on the OTC. Visit axecapventures.ca today.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Good morning to you. We're off to a pretty good start here this morning as far as the roadways go. We're quiet through North County. Things are looking good on eastbound 70 and 64 from out west into downtown. 55 is in good shape. And we look good on the Illinois side. So it's really pretty quiet out there. Now, we do have road work scheduled throughout the area, and starting at 9 o'clock this morning on 64, the crews plan to close one eastbound lane right there at Clarkson, and they'll only have it down from 9 a.m. until 3:30 this afternoon, but just bear that in mind if you're traveling into midday. This report brought to you by Siding Express. Siding Express can transform your home with the beauty and durability of James Hardie siding. They specialize in James Hardie siding installation. Visit sidingexpress.com today to schedule a free consultation. That's sidingexpress.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan,
we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Fighting and winning. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Kim on a whim.
I can now say I have been personally impacted by illegal immigration, and not in the way that I expected.
Not at all.
So just a little background on what's going on here. My husband and I have renovated a couple of homes in the St. Louis area. You know, we'll fix them up and then we'll put them back on the market.
Right.
As property investors. And we had just been in the process of selling a home in Florissant, and we were at the very end, like within, a few days of close. Actually, this is when we were on vacation in New Hampshire a couple of weeks ago. And we get a call from our realtor saying, hey, heads up. The couple that was going to buy your home, it turns out that the husband is an illegal and has been detained and is about to get deported. We have no other information about this. Now, what I also need to mention is we have no clue who this couple is. And typically you don't know specifically who the buyers are, but you might see them on some documents.
Yeah.
Not in this case. And that's because they were going through a company. They call themselves a property investment company out of Oklahoma. And they were doing this rent-to-own program. So, people will do that if they don't have the money to be able to actually purchase the home at the time.
So had they been renting this home?
Not our home.
Not your home?
Not our home, no. But that was the plan, was that this property investment company out of Oklahoma was essentially working with them.
So they would help them buy the home, and this couple would rent it until they
a year, 2 years, whatever the case may be, whatever their agreement was. And then, yes, they would officially own it. And yeah, so anyway, we get the call that, hey, it's off. They're backing out of the deal, which if you've ever gone to sell your home, that is just the last thing that you want to hear when you've done everything and, everything checked out with inspection. And we poured thousands of dollars to fix some things that they were very particular that they wanted. Then we get a call the next day saying, okay, they're back on. The brother of the wife or whatever has agreed to, help out and co-sign, and okay, we're back on. So we get back from vacation. And my husband goes, this is like 95 degrees out. My husband spends like 5 hours with his brother trying to move out all the stuff that we had used to stage the home.
Right.
And so they're finally done. They get back to our house and I get a call from our realtor saying, they're backing out again. I mean, I can't even, I was so frustrated with this.
Angry would be the word.
Yeah. I mean, and by the way, it didn't go through. The sale dropped. So we were, of course, saying, you really screwed us, for lack of a better word, and we're demanding money or threatening a lawsuit, which we didn't want to have to go down that path because every attorney we talk to just talks about how expensive that can be and time consuming and just all the things related to actually going, taking someone to court. So anyway, we did get some money, but not near the amount that we wanted because this was such a headache. But it's so interesting to me because I started going down a rabbit hole of how can companies even do this? How are you able to rent or sell to an illegal alien? Well, there's nothing that says you can't do it. They're not, I mean, some would probably do some sort of a check, but it's not because of fair housing. I can't say, hey, Marc Cox, can you show me your papers to make sure that you're a legal citizen here of the United States?
It's a risky proposition for the same reason that when the United States decided it wanted to expand home ownership in 2007, they forced banks to lower their lending standards so they could sell homes to people who normally would never have qualified. So you've got a private company that's basically doing the same thing. These two people that were going to buy your home would not normally have qualified for that loan. So they're taking on the risk that they're going to end up paying for it, or that they've ended up buying the home and they would resell it as a property management firm, right? Or resell it to another client.
Right. And I think that's it. But the reason they probably would not have qualified would likely have been financial.
Well, no, I
you know
agree.
What I mean?
I agree, but are they not vetting these people at all?
That's my point. But that was what blew my mind when I started researching this was, even if they had vetted them, there's my understanding, and maybe someone knows more about this legally than I do, but from the research I've done, there would be nothing that would stop them from, even if they found out this person was illegal, and I don't know the status of the wife, but I assume since it doesn't sound like she's been detained, I'm assuming that maybe she's legal, there'd be nothing that would stop them from doing this, because I can't ask you certain questions, again, under fair housing. So, and remember J.D. Vance took a lot of heat when he was in that debate, and he talked about the way that these illegals have impacted the housing market. And he talked about how they've been really sending some of the rates for rental properties through the roof. And of course, everyone was so mad that he said that and said that's fake. In fact, if you Google it, which of course I did, J.D. Vance was lying, and here are 10 reasons why that's not true. And they're trying to discredit everything he was saying. But it absolutely has had an impact.
Well, it has. And here's maybe why. And we should talk about this probably off the air before we name them. This is why companies like this should be investigated. The people on the left who scream that we should give all of these people a second chance, and they're just trying to better their lives and all this. Here you've got a company that is sort of preying on these people, and I would say these people as people who don't have the resources to go out and buy a house. Those people are vulnerable. They want the house. They're willing to agree to deals they might not otherwise agree to, right? In this case, they're working with somebody who said, we'll help you buy the house. And then you agree to rent it for 2 years. All of the rent that you pay will go toward you owning the house. And at some point, once you've established better credit, you can take out your own loan and buy the house from us. I'm sure that's probably how it works.
Oh, I'm sure. And I don't know what the profit, I don't know what kind of profit this company is making, but surely they're a business. They have to make something off them.
But this is not unlike every street corner car lot that says, buy here, we don't care what your credit is, because they know that there's a very good chance that in 5 or 6 months, they're going to go out and repossess that car and sell it again. So whatever earnest money you've paid down, you lose. The company gets the vehicle back, and they get to sell it again. And they're very clearly preying upon people who don't have much in the way of financial resources. And I would argue that company is guilty of that.
Yeah. Because
whether this guy is illegal or not, for whatever reason he's suddenly out of the picture, why did they not know that? Why would they not ask the immigration status of the people about to ink this deal?
But because
they don't care.
Well, they don't care, that's for sure. But I don't think there's anything legally that would require them to ask that. And in some cases, you can't. Again, from what I've researched, because of fair housing, it's not like I can ask you about, and I know this is different, but like your religion or whatever the case may be. There are just certain things that if you're going to rent out a property to somebody, if you're an investor or you're going to sell a property, you can't ask certain things under fair housing. And it sounds like that falls under the category. Like you can do some, I mean, we have a rental property and we obviously vet. But that was certainly not one of the, you ask for bank statements or something like that. You're more so vetting them financially. You do a background check, but that would only pull up any sort of criminal background.
So what you're telling me, and I don't remember this from when I had some rental properties, but you're telling me you're not allowed to inquire about their legal status in the United States?
From what I've read, and maybe I'm wrong and somebody listening right now can correct me, but when I was reading about fair housing, it sounds like there are many cases where you can't even inquire about
Sounds
that.
like
You
the
can't
Trump
deny
administration
somebody
needs
because
to
of that.
change that today. Like this afternoon, sign a executive order saying it's okay for somebody to ask you what your legal status is if they're about to sell a house to you.
And you know what? A liberal federal judge would slap that down so fast like they just did with the
court would-
abortion
right,
as it relates to Medicaid
right,
funding.
Right.
And that's what's so infuriating. And that was the other thing I guess you were gone for was you have the Supreme Court that comes out with all these rulings, and then you have these woke federal judges that still think that they're all that in a bag of chips, and they want to slap these rulings down. And even though it probably won't stand because of the Supreme Court ruling, what it does is it delays. We were talking to Hans about that yesterday. It is at least effective in delaying. So now abortion can, I guess, still get Medicaid funding until they can rule on this case and say, no, because of what we decided before the session ended, whatever you just ruled, federal judge, doesn't stand. Could be months, though, for that to happen.
It could take a long time.
Right, and they know
so
that.
it won't stop the lawfare angle of it. Even though they've been slapped down, they'll go right back and try the same thing again to challenge at the court level. Yeah, that's sad, Kim. I'm sorry to hear that you've gone through that. So now, after all that wasted effort, you've got to go relist the house.
It's relisted. It's frustrating because who knows how long it'll take to sell, and now it's not staged. And sure, we could pay a bunch of money to stage it again, or I could. We used to pull. We're so new at this. We pull stuff from our house, so we didn't have a coffee table for like 2 months. Like end tables are randomly missing, decor, chairs from our dining room we were using to stage. So it's nice to have all those back, but I don't want to go through the effort of. My husband offered to do it. I'm like, I don't even care. I don't even want to do that. I don't care. I'm so done with this. So heads up if you're looking to sell your home. Just beware that apparently an illegal might be trying to buy it from you.
Be leery. I mean, would you have the ability to have turned down the bid, knowing
No,
it, like
no. You can't. I don't. You can't. I don't believe again because of fair housing. I don't think you can opt to not rent to somebody.
Yeah, but you're not renting
or sell.
I think you can. I think you can. You can turn down an offer for any reason.
Yeah, but you couldn't if there was any indication of you turning it down for that reason. That would be.
Did they offer you less than asking price?
It was really confusing the way that they set it up.
So
like
they
offered over, but then they wanted a credit that took
I
it
see.
under. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. I don't
Very
know.
odd.
I would be very leery of dealing with a company like that if I was trying to sell something.
Yes, beware. We've had quite the experience.
Well, good to know. Good to know. Wow. Good luck with that. What a mess. Speaking of which, how about this Missouri judge? Same one, third time in a row, has decided that health standards don't matter at abortion clinics. They just don't matter. And we're going to get to that when we come back. Stay tuned.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads this morning, if you are just headed out, we really are in good shape. 70 eastbound looks great into downtown. We had a little bit of volume westbound on 64 as you approach the Winghaven area. Just moderate, but it seems to be fine now as well. And if you are on northbound 55, or will be in a minute, that's in good shape. Now, the eastbound 70 express lanes remain closed this morning, but eastbound 70 itself is fine. And watch out on the Illinois side. We do have some volume, especially northbound Route 3 at Monsanto Avenue. Yeah, it's just a little slow through there. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyHomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Let's talk about flooring for just a minute because it is something that just it absolutely brightens your day, doesn't it? Cheers you up. Every time you've got new flooring, you walk in, you go, wow. It's got that wow factor for your house. That's what you're looking for. I'm going to recommend my friends up at Michael's Flooring Outlet. Mike Reynolds is a fantastic guy. He grew up in the St. Louis area. He's had these stores for coming up on 30 years now. So you're dealing with somebody who's a longtime veteran of the business. He knows all about customer service. When we decided to put new flooring in our house before we moved in last July, we went to Michael's Flooring Outlet. We walked in. We said, here's what we're looking for. They helped us determine, because, you have to take samples home, put them under your lighting, see what they look like. And then you want to get it installed on a deadline, because we had furniture moving into the house. And they got it done at Michael's, and it's beautiful, and we love it, and you're going to love the customer service as well. Every time I've bought flooring up there, it's been the same deal. They call afterwards. They want to make sure you're happy with your installation and your flooring. Give them a try if you are looking for new flooring. They have 3 great locations. They're in Darden Prairie, they're in Old Town St. Peters, and they're in West St. Louis County off of Olive Boulevard west of 270. Online anytime at igotfloor.com.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
On-time news. On your time. Download the Odyssey app and dip in whenever you want. And stay on top of what's happening. 97.1 FM Talk on the Odyssey app. A morning cup of adrenaline. The Marc Cox Morning Show.
Yo, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
The Marc Cox Morning Show. On the air and streaming at 971talk.com.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I really, really want there, Ethan. I want judges who have just a shred of common sense. But we don't have many of those, apparently, because I'm looking at this press release that, and I know this happened while I was out on vacation, but still. So it happened July 3rd when Jackson County Judge Jerry Zhang, without any notice or input from Missouri's top legal official, that would be the Attorney General, released another dangerous ruling for the 3rd time to remove almost all health and safety standards for abortions. And I don't know if you covered this or not, Kim, but the question is whether or not, for example, the person performing the abortion, if it's a medical doctor, has privileges at a local emergency room. That's their patient. And if there's a crisis, you need to know that that person should be able to help their patient in the local ER, where if they're hemorrhaging, whatever the case may be. And there's nothing. This judge thinks that the rule that was voted on and passed, Amendment 3, overrides all safety and health requirements by the state of Missouri. And that's disgusting, is what it is.
Yeah, what's also interesting about this is that they're saying if clinics still want to offer the medication abortions where women are taking these pills in their own home and in some cases bleeding out. I mean, it's awful. They're saying in that case, the clinic would still need the health department to approve what they're calling a complication plan. So as of yesterday, it sounds like no clinics have that approval, but you can bet your bottom dollar that clinics are racing to get that approval because, again, it's a moneymaker for them. That is how they make their money, is abortion. They sit there and try to say, oh, healthcare, we offer, I won't even get into all of it, but they offer all kinds of things for women.
Well,
checkups.
Didn't the Big Beautiful Bill include a restriction on any federal money going to Planned Parenthood?
For a year, but you just had a federal judge yesterday who ruled that
Tried to block it.
Who did block it. So, I'm sure that will be overruled, but it's a delay tactic. And that's so frustrating. I mean, I guess they legally can do that as a federal judge, but that blows my mind that Congress can pass a bill and like that, a federal judge, some liberal federal judge can say, well, that's unconstitutional.
It's more evidence of lawfare, and meaning they'll do it against Congress or the President of the United States. If they don't like something, they run straight to a judge and try to get an injunction. I thought the Supreme Court had smacked them down on that to some extent. A little more on this here. The health and safety standards put in place by Missouri statutes were diligently vetted and reviewed by medical professionals and legislators after inspections by the Missouri Department of Health. Found multiple infractions over the years that included dried, bloody equipment, rusty equipment, expired drugs, and unqualified workers. Attorney General Andrew Bailey issued a statement that he would immediately appeal the decision by Judge Zhang and stated that we respectfully but firmly disagree with the court decision to once again block the enforcement of Missouri's duly enacted health and safety regulations. These requirements were designed to ensure that women receive care in sanitary conditions from qualified professionals with emergency safeguards in place. And of course, here we go again. In November of next year, Missouri voters have an opportunity to go back and fix this. The legislature has put this on the ballot for November of 2026.
We just don't know the wording of it because that was really crucial. Remember, that was a big battle of how can they word the amendment.
And will continue to be.
Right.
Right? Because there will be challenges, and hopefully they can get some common sense language on the ballot that people can understand exactly what it is they're voting for. I do think that's one reason Amendment 3 passed. The other is because you had a overwhelming majority of conservatives turned out to vote in that election, and people overwhelmingly voted Donald Trump into office and voted for other Republican candidates and turned around and passed Amendment 3. I think they were confused about what it did. And I'm looking now at that story about the judge temporarily blocking them from enforcing the funding ban against Planned Parenthood. Again, that will be appealed, and hopefully this Barack Obama appointed district judge named Indira Talwani blocked the enforcement for 14 days. And it would the measure would bar Medicaid users from coverage with a health care provider that also provides abortion services. Remember what they went to court and challenged was they wanted to claim Planned Parenthood was their
primary
health care provider.
Yeah.
And I mean, providing death is not health care, which is what primarily Planned Parenthood does. And like Kim said, to her point, if that wasn't the case, it wouldn't matter to them. If their primary business wasn't abortion, the fact that these funds couldn't be spent on abortion wouldn't impact them because they'd be making plenty of money from doing mammograms and handing out birth control.
You know how much money Planned Parenthood has spent on fighting this over the years? That wouldn't be worth it to them if this wasn't such a crucial part of their business.
And the hypocrisy of the people that support Planned Parenthood is what cracks me up, because it is the same people that'll be on the streets screaming about racist this and phobia that, and Planned Parenthood's primary goal when it started was eugenics, to reduce the black population in this country. And these days we've been giving them federal money to do their dirty work, and the left is okay with that. It's disturbing in so many ways. All right, coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about that with John Lamping, former Missouri senator, at about 6:35. A little later, we'll talk to our friend Mark Walters. It is 2A Tuesday. Some big news on the 2A front. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger, inviting you to a weekend you won't forget, the 37th annual Lake of the Ozarks Shootout. Our shootout is the largest unsanctioned boat race in the country. It's free to attend, packed with family fun, and it's all happening right here in Missouri. Join me and thousands of visitors from across the country for a weekend of racing and Missouri hospitality at its finest. I'll see you at the lake.
Sponsored by the Lieutenant Governor of Missouri.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. They can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align, because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit makeawish@wish.org.
The Cards, the Nationals.
Siteman Cancer Center game time 6:45. Play ball. Siteman Cancer Center, national leader in cancer.
The home of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM KMOX.
Surprise!
Surprise!
You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Day 5 of a search and rescue operation in Texas. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. At least 104 deaths are confirmed in flash flooding in central Texas.
All the way until the sun went down yesterday. Crews combing the sides of the devastated Guadalupe River looking for survivors and maybe a miracle. And yet recovery does continue on the edges of this as huge machinery is being brought in to excavate mud and trees. In the meantime, aid groups are on the ground and volunteers and residents who are reeling.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray in Kerrville, Texas. President Trump, during a meeting with Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu at the White House, says he thinks talks to end the war in Gaza are going along very well. Netanyahu says he's nominated Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts in the Middle East. 5 Israeli soldiers, meantime, are killed in a roadside bombing in Gaza.
The soldiers died when explosives detonated during an operation in the Beit Hanun area of northern Gaza. It's a part of the territory where Israeli forces have battled Hamas time and again. 888 Israeli service personnel have now died since the war began in late 2023.
It's Fox's Jonathan Savage. Elon Musk's spoken about plans for a new political party with former Democratic Party presidential candidate and New York City mayoral candidate Andrew Yang.
Yang co-founded the Forward Party in 2021. A source familiar with the conversation said that the two discussed Musk's push to create the America Party, which Musk aims to field some candidates in next year's midterm elections. Yang telling Fox News he is excited for anyone who wants to move on from the duopoly. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
2 crew members are reported killed in a Houthi rebel attack on a Greek-operated cargo ship off the coast of Yemen. The first deaths in those attacks in more than a year. Another cargo ship sank on Sunday. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com.
Good Tuesday morning to you. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. 6:03 is our time right now, 76 degrees if you're just leaving the house. A 12-year-old is in custody after police say an 8-year-old boy was grazed in the face with a bullet in South City. Investigators say the kids were playing with a gun when it went off. This happening around 7:30 last night in the 3400 block of Cherokee. Thankfully, the boy is expected to be okay. The St. Louis police chief says he's considering citing parents for their kids' behavior at future city events and holidays. This comes after parents were cited over the weekend if their kids were caught in the city shooting off fireworks. The chief hopes it will push parents to pay more attention to their children and bring juvenile crime rates down. In the Metro East, the O'Fallon City Council has voted to keep its 1% grocery tax. The mayor there says the city was forced to vote to keep it after Illinois lawmakers passed a bill last year eliminating the statewide grocery tax. The city estimates it would lose about $1.2 million in revenue if that grocery tax were to go away. 6:04, 76 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. All right, in sports, the Cards hosting the Nationals tonight after a day off yesterday. First pitch at Busch Stadium, 6:45. 76 degrees now, 6:04. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Good morning to you. Well, we've got a report of a stall westbound 6440 on the on-ramp from Chesterfield Parkway West. So be careful in that area. But we've got light volume in general at this hour. So other than that, we are in pretty good shape. Northbound 55 looks good into downtown. Northbound 270 is in good shape. And if you are headed in from Illinois, now's the time. We're quiet on the bridges downtown. This report brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Jerry Kelly swings next day installs no matter how late you call. And because they work later every day, they're faster when your equipment just needs fixing too.
That's MVP material.
Yep, simple fix or a full install. Nobody gets you comfortable faster.
JerryKelly.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Our weather's fairly quiet this morning, but the atmosphere will try to turn over going through the afternoon. Partly to mostly sunny skies. We'll keep an eye out for some scattered thunderstorms. Prime time, 2 to 8 p.m. A couple of these things could go strong, maybe even severe, but the main features will be heavy downpours of rain and lightning. 92 for the high. A couple of thunderstorms this evening, 73. Wednesday, partly sunny. A thunderstorm here and there, 90. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
About to change over to 6:06, 76 degrees our temperature right now. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show on 97.1 FM Talk anytime or anywhere. Just download the free Odyssey app.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
Listen to both sides.
The bottom line is,
I respect that. We don't agree.
You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Just to find a voice. Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
I don't know how to put this.
Marc Cox.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Well, it adds excitement, doesn't it, folks?
All right, good morning to you. Welcome in on a Tuesday morning, the 8th day of July. I am Marc Cox. That's Kim St. Ange. Ethan Bryden here with us this morning, and we'll get to your traffic here in just a couple minutes. If there's anything going on out there, don't you worry. We'll have you covered. The rain is not due until later today, so we are going to be in pretty good shape for that. It looks like maybe Sue Thomas is going to have a busy day this afternoon for sure. I will tell you. The bad news is they're getting more rain down in Texas, where they've had this horrible tragedy. What I know the death toll is close to 100.
104 is what I've heard. Yeah, and that's up from 82 yesterday.
Wow. And I know they've recovered some people they haven't identified yet. They're still looking for others. The stories coming out of there are heartbreaking. Particularly from the little kids who, in many cases, watched their fellow campers get swept away. I am sickened this morning after hearing these stories, and you'll hear some examples of it coming up, of people getting political. They've had some nasty woman down in Houston who claims that it was all about race. Who cares? Because it's just a camp for a bunch of white girls, and she's made horrible allegations that if they were Hispanic or black, that they wouldn't be getting this national media coverage. I mean, who is she to say that people who were Hispanic or black were not affected by this? There are 104 people dead.
Mm-hmm.
Dead. I mean, obviously the focus has been on the camp for a portion of it because of the tragedy there with children involved. But I mean, I can't believe how quickly the hatred on the left in this country is sickening. The pediatrician has now been fired from her job in Houston after tweeting out that, if you were not MAGA, she prays for you, but if you were, you got what you voted for.
There was somebody who posted on social media, says, may all visitors, children, non-MAGA voters, and pets be safe and dry. Kirk County MAGA voted to gut FEMA. They deny climate change. May they get what they voted for.
That's
bless
her.
their hearts. Which, by the way, if you're not familiar with bless your heart, because I lived in Nashville, that really means F you.
Yes, basically in the South. That
Yes.
was from Christina.
Yes, Christina.
Christina is a pediatrician who used to serve at a practice in Houston. She's now been fired, just so you know. So
who has that thought?
Well, the question is, how could somebody with a medical degree be that warped mentally? She was in charge of the health of children and swore the Hippocratic Oath, and then gets on there because of her TDS and has to try to blame this on politics. What happened there is a tragedy. There was plenty of warning, and we get these all the time, and we ignore them. Let's face it. If Dave Murray came on the air right now and said, there's a flash flood warning for this afternoon, be careful if you live in a low-lying area. Well, you should be aware of that if you live in a low-lying area. I live on a hill. I lived on the highest point in St. Louis County for years, and now I'm in St. Charles County, but I'm still well above a flood level. I know that. But if I was in an area prone to flooding, I would pay more attention to those things. Mm-hmm. Questions need to be asked about why, despite all of the warnings they put out hours in advance of this. I know it happened at 4 a.m, but at 8, 9, 10 o'clock that night, they were putting out warnings that there were going to be heavy rains, watch for flash flooding. No actions were taken by a lot of these people. Do they need to have sirens? I've heard the Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick, suggest maybe we need flash flood warning sirens. Well, they didn't have those.
They talked about that,
though.
and they talked about implementing that in Kirk County, which was, of course, the hardest area. But the problem is the voters at the time didn't want to foot the bill for it, which I get.
Okay,
that probably would be very
right.
expensive. I think people, like you said, are desensitized to it because some of the people who were sitting there saying, well, they weren't warned. Well, National Weather Service is saying that they had extra staff there because they knew there was the flooding potential, and that they did, like you said, send out multiple warnings ahead of time. I mean, these are the same people who we tell over and over again, especially when we were reporting for KMOV, Mark, turn around, don't drown if you see a flooded road. And they're the idiots who drive. I mean, if you have a huge truck, I guess maybe you could get through some of these flooded roads.
Dumb.
But they're the idiots who have the tiny little, car that they sit there and try to go through, and then the first responders have to come rescue them.
If they're lucky, they get
Right.
to be rescued. Yeah, it's sad. It really is. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And I'll let you hear from one of the biggest idiots who doesn't even live here anymore, who moved out of the country when Trump got elected, and who is now complaining about this somehow being Doge's fault in Texas. How sad. These people are warped. We're going to get to all that for you right now with our top stories, Ethan, please.
The Marc Cox Shortlist.
And when the president guts all of the early warning systems and the weathering forecast abilities of the government, these are the results that we're going to start to see on a daily basis because he's put this country in so much danger.
Oh. Rosie O'Donnell has completely lost it. Lives in Dublin, and she's putting out warnings to all of America that your lives might be at risk because of Doge cuts.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed.
Yeah, that didn't work out all too well there for Pam Bondi, did it? What is going on with the Epstein list? Will we ever know who else was involved?
CNN is learning tonight that critical flood warnings were transmitted to mobile devices in key areas during the early morning hours of July 4th. According to the NWS website, several leadership roles and meteorologist positions in those offices are vacant.
Wow, how about that? Well, there are vacant, but they did put out warnings. Even CNN is admitting it doesn't matter to the people who hate Donald Trump.
The large number of juveniles that have been involved in downtown 4th of July celebrations in the years past was unacceptable, really dangerous, and I'm really grateful for the response of our police department this weekend, being proactive.
I am always, that was Mayor Spencer, by the way, I am always thankful for the reactions of our police officers, for them heading toward danger when other people are driving away from it. In this case, it would have been heading toward some 15-year-old firing a Roman candle directly at your car or at you. And I'm sorry to be bringing this up because I'm just back in town from a few relaxing days at the beach. I just saw the video from July 4th. And I can't believe the chaos that was going on in downtown St. Louis. It was unbelievable. I would air some of the audio for you of the video I saw, but it's so filled with expletives that it would just be bleeped the whole time as people were screaming as they're running down the street firing fireworks at people. It was insane. Why did they come downtown? That would be my first question. Why were you downtown? Go do that in your own neighborhood.
Yeah, it was very gutsy to not only do that downtown, but then also to post about it.
None of them lived here. None of them lived downtown.
I'm sure they live, different parts of the city.
Mayor Spencer's like, well, I think, this time we did address it with a few of the parents. A few of the parents? Now, I know that maybe some of these juvenile delinquents that you caught, maybe you couldn't find their parents. Maybe the reason they're in this situation is they've never had any parental guidance ever before in their life, and it's foolish to think they're going to start getting it now. But slapping them on the wrist and letting them back out the same night so they could go out and continue doing the same thing is the definition of insanity. Why are we doing that? Throw the parents in jail. Fine them. Whatever it takes to get their attention, do it, because somebody's got to gain control of this, and it can't be left up to the St. Louis Police Department.
Well, what are the odds that the parents even pay the fine? I wonder if they had to pay the fine in order to take their kid. And what is the fine? I don't even know the amount that they were citing them.
If the fine was enough, would they have just left the kid there? I mean, I don't know. Having the kid in custody, it strikes me, overnight or for a couple of nights might send them a message.
Mm-hmm. I think if I had done something really stupid when I was young, depending on the age and what I did, I wouldn't be surprised if my parents had let me stay in jail for a little bit.
Yeah, don't call me.
Not long, but just a little bit to let it really sink in of what you did was stupid and you can't do it again. And if you do, this is the consequence.
Yeah, Kim, there are still parents out there today that might do that, but I think they're few between.
Yeah, I would agree. They would probably say, tell me about your feelings right now. Do you feel hurt? Do you feel scared that you had to sit in jail? Let's talk about your feelings.
I know you don't feel very supported right now, but the jailer will bring you some food a little
Here's
later,
a nice
just
blanket.
like if you were home. Yeah. That's not going to fix the problem.
I've requested croissants for you in the morning. I want to make sure you're well fed.
All right, we'll get to a quick break here. At the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk to our friend John Lamping. I missed him last week, and we missed him the week before, so it'll be good to get him back on here, and we'll talk a little bit more about what's going on at the state level with this judge stepping in to block common sense safety and health requirements for abortion clinics. We'll be back here in just a minute.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There is an accident in North County right now. It's westbound 270, really close to 170. And they've got the right lanes blocked, only the left lane getting by. And, of course, traffic is starting to stack up behind that. So that's going on up north. We really look pretty good other than that. Don't forget the eastbound 70 express lanes are closed this morning. Eastbound 64 is in pretty good shape until you get into the city. And just east of Kings Highway, there's a slowdown. We've got a stall reported in there. Pretty quiet, though, on the Illinois side in general, including the bridges downtown. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Point Pest Control is reminding you it's time to spray for mosquitoes. How can something that tiny interrupt your outside gatherings? Have Point Pest Control spray today so your next outside gathering is mosquito-free. 636-798-0023. Mention Annie to save an additional 10%. PointPestControl.com.
All right, I'm talking to you if you have a lot of credit card debt. I know you may not admit it to a lot of people, but if you're driving in your car, you're listening to this, you know who you are. So it's a frustrating problem. For some people, it's an embarrassing problem, but some expense came up you couldn't afford, you put it on a credit card. If you've got 5 credit cards with $5,000 or $10,000 on each of them, that is unbearable debt. It really is. And at some point, it's going to catch up with you. If you're a homeowner, my friends at Golden Oak Lending have a way to help you because they can help you do a cash out equity loan on your home. You can still refinance to a low interest rate. So if you're paying 26, 27% to the credit card company and you're barely keeping up with the minimums, think how much money you'd have in your pocket each month if you weren't mailing that off to the credit card companies. Here's what they do. They've got fixed rate mortgages as low as 4.875% right now. You can lower your monthly payment, get the cash out, pay off those credit cards. Best of all, you won't even have a mortgage payment for 2 months. So that's more cash back in your pocket. The average cash out customer saves $1,100 a month. Want more information? Call 314-567-GOLD. They'll tell you if they can help. They'll tell you if they can't, but call one of their counselors and talk to them. 314-567-GOLD. That is a 5.81 APR, FHA 15-year fixed mortgage, 20% equity with qualified credit. Additional terms apply. Their NMLS number is 114937.
Man, the heat has been killer for our comfort in the last week or so. We got swamped, and I'm not going to tell you to call me when we can't take care of you in a reasonable amount of time. But I've been hearing this, and it's interesting to where people want to get prices for new equipment. A word of advice on what you replace it with if you do not call me. Keep this in mind. Don't jump the shark and say, well, the more I spend, the more my bills go down. You and only you know what you spend a month on your utilities for cooling and heating. If you were told you need a new air conditioner or you know it's just not working for you, call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. The only number, Missouri and Illinois, is 314-293-2600. God bless.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before. We now have more offices, more staff, and more lawyers than any other injury firm in the world, protecting America, fighting for you.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hey, is your Generac home standby generator ready for the next outage? Are you overdue for annual maintenance? Schedule an inspection today with Generator Supercenter and ensure your Generac generator is ready when you need it most. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. 97.1 FM Talk is proud to support the first ever Brendan Donovan charity clay shoot happening Thursday, August 7th at Strathelman Farms Club in Weldon Spring. Join Cardinals standout Brendan Donovan, teammates, and local celebs for a day of clay shooting and community, all to benefit Team Red, White, and Blue and their mission to support veterans' health and wellness. Don't wait. Sponsorships and shooter spots are going fast. Visit teamrwb.org/Donovan now to sign up. Show your support and make a difference for those who've served. 97.1 FM Talk, backing our veterans every step of the way.
Living in reality. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com.
championship cyclist, making the very same case that there were those who checked, including yourself, who were traveling a far distance to compete and wanted fairness in this. And they said even up to the last minute of registration, this person's name still wasn't registered.
So have you heard about this cycling controversy, Kim? I don't know if you guys talked about this or not, but there was a USA officially sanctioned women's cycling event this past weekend where the winner was a transgender athlete, but the other ladies were not told that there was a trans athlete competing. So now they've decided to avoid the controversy by just not mentioning it. Now, the trans opponent, Kate Phillips, took the gold at the Lions Masters National Championship in Wisconsin on Tuesday. And I'm looking at Kate here. I don't know if I might have questions if I ran across her. But after finishing second, the other bikers refused to take the podium in protest, saying, I don't want to race against a man. And they scolded me and said, you can't call him a man. And I'm like, well, he is a man. And I was scolded again and corrected that it's a woman. And I don't even know what to say, is what the other cyclists said. How is this insanity still going on? But please tell me that. I just don't get it. Listen to how this went down. Listen to the cyclist who was going to come in either first or second, describe how this race ended.
So we're going to back it up to the final sprint where Debbie Milne was clearly going to win the race. I was second on her wheel. She was the race leader to watch. And out of nowhere came third place, KJ, and beat us both in the sprint. Unfortunately, Debbie was relegated to seventh place, different circumstance. And after the race, I was angry because I knew what had happened. I've raced thousands of races against women, and not thousands, 100 races against women, thousands in group rides, sprinting against men. And I knew at that sprint that was a man's sprint.
That is crazy. This is their new tactic, is to not even disclose it. And if you look at the pictures of the three women on the, well, let me clarify here, of the man and the two women on the podium.
Yeah.
It is very obvious to me, even if the face looks a little bit like, maybe feminine-ish, maybe.
Yeah.
You can tell just by the body. The man is tall and bulkier. I mean, very different compared to the two actual women.
I don't know if the women are just short, and I know he's standing on a box in this picture, but he's at least 6 or 7 inches taller than all of those women.
But even the muscle mass, you can tell.
Oh, I know.
Like, aside from the height, I mean, that to me, I agree. At the height, you can clearly tell he's taller, even though he's standing on the higher podium. It's just unfair, and I don't understand. I think what blows my mind the most about this, Mark, is that the same people who want to say that this is okay are the same people who are the feminists who sit there and say, protect women and all of these things. The hypocrisy and all of that, I can't wrap my brain around.
Yeah, I don't know. They're claiming that he wasn't added to the list until the very last second, and they're all upset that nobody was told, and that you could tell from the way he ran the race what was happening. And a lot of these people they're just disgusted, and I don't blame them at all.
And at the finish line, I was upset. I said I did not want to race against a man, and the whole audience just went, oh, like I shouldn't have said that. And in my mind, I'm like, I can say that. I have freedom of speech. I was raised believing in the Bible, where men are created by God and God created women from men. I was born and raised in America, where I learned my pronouns, and I took science classes that taught me about XX and XY. And I believe that most Americans and people worldwide would support men not being in women's categories.
This is only going to intensify.
I know. But it is crazy Wisconsin. There's some crazy people up there. There's no doubt about that. And but the fact that it was a sanctioned race When is that cycling organization going to be called to task on this? Because I'm reading here at the top, this was a USA cycling race. Now, I remember when USA Swimming had issues with this too. In light of what's happened at Penn and some of these other places, they've got to revise their bylaws to eliminate this problem moving forward. At least I hope they will. All right, we're going to get to former Senator John Lamping coming up here in just a couple minutes. Stay tuned.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/radio. That's leaffilter.com/radio.
All right, so what is the housing market doing right now? It's a good question. I think it depends a lot on your price point and, where you live, location. Don't take my word for all of that, though. Call Gloria Lou. She's the expert, 314-325-6888. Here's why I recommend you call her. She handled the sale of my house 1 year ago this month, in fact. Talk about smooth. And here's the other thing. She has programs no other realtor in town can match, including the name of her company, Your Home Sold Guaranteed. She will guarantee to sell your home for 100% of market value, or she's going to pay you the difference. Who else is telling you that? I don't know. Call Gloria and have a conversation. She can explain exactly how this works. She's got a list of people looking to buy in your neighborhood, and she will pay you the difference if your home sells for less than 100% of market value. 314-325-6888 or GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Good morning. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. 76 degrees now, 6:30. First responders from Missouri are on their way to Texas right now to help after that catastrophic flooding. A 52-member Missouri Task Force 1 team will be there for 2 weeks helping with rescue efforts. Many Planned Parenthoods here in Missouri resumed abortions Monday after a judge blocked most of the state's restrictions on abortion. Clinics offering medication abortions, though, still need the health department to approve what's called a complication plan. As of yesterday, no clinics have that approval. In sports, the Cardinals are hosting the Nationals tonight after a day off yesterday. First pitch at Busch Stadium will be at 6:45. I'm Kim St. Ange. Time now 6:31, 76 degrees. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Crews are on the scene of an accident right now on westbound 270 at 170. I just posted it on X at Susan6768. Looks like only the left lane is getting by, and we have a jam that goes back past New Florissant. Now, other than that, we look pretty good at this hour. Eastbound 70 looks good, 64. Northbound 55 has a slow pocket or two, starting as you approach 270 up through Bayless. On the Illinois side, we look good as well, at least on the bridges. If you're headed in from Illinois, it's a good time to do so. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows and siding to kitchens, bathrooms, and outdoor spaces, they deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, if you're looking for a dentist, I want to strongly recommend my dentist. You are going to love working with Dr. Michael White and his Sunset Hills dentist office because, seriously, from the staff to the dentist himself, they are all in it for your comfort. And Dr. White will tell you that himself. It's his primary focus. He wants your dental treatment to be as pain-free as humanly possible. He's concerned about that. He's got many years in the business to take care of these things. That experience helps. Because he can solve problems a lot faster than somebody right out of school looking to fill out their dental practice. So here's the number, 314-270-8552. That's 314-270-8552. When you call the office, say, hey, I was listening to Marc Cox on 97.1 FM Talk, and he told me that you're accepting patients again, and I want to come there. They work hard to keep their prices affordable. They have payment options, and you need to talk to Dr. Michael White if you currently do not have a dentist or you're not happy with yours. Their website's easy to remember. It's sunsethills.dentist.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 39 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Men, need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare? U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peters does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Well, few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation today. 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters. BannerConstruction.com.
I've got great news. We're back with more on the Marc Cox Morning Show. Follow the show on Facebook, facebook.com/The Marc Cox Show.
Your attention, please. Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? I repeat, will the real Slim Shady please stand up? We're going to have a problem.
President, this is the gavel we use to enact the big, beautiful bill, and I want you to have that for your
All right, that was the audio from the president signing the big, beautiful bill, which he'd, of course, named himself, and Chuck Schumer and the rest of them have had to choke on that because they were not appreciative of the big, beautiful bill for sure. But it's got a lot of good things in there, and now we find out what happens, maybe what it means for the state of Missouri. Our friend John Lamping is on the line right now, a former Missouri State Senator. John, how are you?
Good morning, Mark. Kim, nice to be with you both.
Yeah, great having you here this morning. We appreciate, always appreciate having you on. I did want to ask your thoughts on the big, beautiful bill now that they've got it through on time and on schedule.
Well, in total, the big, beautiful bill is probably not a 6 or 7 minute conversation, but a 20 or 30 minute conversation. There's so much in it. I think we'll be unpacking different parts of it over time. I don't think the Republican Party had any other path they could go down. The overarching observation is that as much as the three of us and your listeners might all think that certain things should come to be legislatively, that certain things would make sense, things like balancing budgets and things like that, the makeup of Congress is such that we're a long way away from getting the perfect bill. So this was the best I think Republican Party could do.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are disappointed with the spending that was in it, and you know, I'm with you. I think the the people who were claiming they were going to vote against it in the House finally realized what you just said, that there probably isn't another path forward, and it does do a lot of good things. It's setting the spending aside, helping with the military, and dealing with fraud in Medicaid. And the lies about it, John, are unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, those are the good aspects of it. We're all shocked by the amount of fraud that takes place in Medicaid. I'm sure it's taking place in other parts of government. But at the end of the day, it's easy to follow at home now. So basically, the bet that the administration is making is that the economy will grow much closer to 3%, when historically it has grown very close to 2%. So as we watch, every quarter, the government announces what the gross domestic product is, GDP report. And if it's hovering around 3%, then this bill will work as far as closing the deficit. What they did was they put constraints on spending. Spending will still increase by 2% a year, but they put constraints on things like Medicaid, such that if the economy can grow at 3% and outproduce the tax revenues that are forecasted, because this bill assumes the scoring assumes that the economy will only grow around 2%. So we'll just watch and see. We'll hope that the economy is supercharged, and if we get 3% growth the rest of Trump's term, then we'll see a narrowing of the deficit.
Yeah, well, and I think we will. I heard Jason Smith almost guaranteeing that we'd see at least 3%, and I mean, I don't think he's that far off. I think when you add up the tariffs and the tax cuts, and we've seen time and time again, when you leave more money in people's pockets, they tend to spend it.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun to watch, and we'll see how it goes. As far as the Medicaid aspects of the big beautiful bill and how it specifically affects Missouri, Missouri is one of 4 states that actually expanded Medicaid through their constitution. So Missourians now have a constitutional right to Medicaid that they didn't have before, meaning the legislature could have somehow restricted Medicaid if the money coming from the federal government were to change. And what we know now after the big beautiful bill is that the formula by which the federal government funds the states that have Medicaid is changing. Most of us don't realize that so much of the money that Missouri gets for Medicaid cost comes from taxing, like a self-imposed tax that the hospitals and all the medical providers tax themselves, essentially. So if you think of it as if there were no tax revenue and the hospitals tax themselves for $100 million, and that was the money that they were using to get the federal match, well, this law limits the amount of that tax. And so what we're going to see happening, not right away, but over the next most of Governor Keogh's his term, and if he were to have a second term, there'll certainly come a moment in time where the Missouri legislature will be hundreds of billions of dollars short on Medicaid financing. So it's not a fight that's going to take place in this year or next, but slowly over time, the amount of money coming from the federal government is going to change dramatically at the state level.
We're talking to former Missouri Senator John Lamping. John, Mark and I have been talking about what this judge just did in Missouri, where most of the state restrictions on abortion were essentially blocked. And so a lot of these Planned Parenthoods, as of yesterday, have resumed abortions. What's your reaction to that?
Well, it's kind of business as usual, isn't it? You had 2 weeks ago, Supreme Court ruled that you could cut funding to Medicaid, and then we had earlier in the summer we had courts enforce the laws that the Missouri legislature passed as far as making sure that abortion facilities meet certain standards and that the providers of abortion meet certain criteria. And now, of course, we've got this judge here, I guess it's in Jackson County, who's decided that the legislature's laws don't make any sense and that a woman's right to have an abortion supersedes the law. So I think we're just going to be going back and forth in courts up until the time that we vote again, which is next November in all likelihood. We vote again for the right to abortion in the state of Missouri. And I don't know, guys. Don't you feel like this has been back and forth in the courts most of our adult lifetimes?
Yes.
It seems like it, and now the question will be wording again, right? And I understand that Denny Hoskins is challenging again because it's been challenged in court. The wording, he's now fighting for the very clear wording on the new Amendment 3. Shall the Missouri Constitution be amended to guarantee access to care for medical emergencies, ectopic pregnancies, miscarriages, ensure women's safety during abortions, ensure parental consent for minors, allow abortions for medical emergencies, fetal anomalies, rape and incest, require physicians to provide medically accurate information, and protect children from gender transition. That's how it's worded now. And obviously it's being challenged and will continue to be challenged probably up until the date it goes on the ballot.
Yeah, it's amazing that when we try to make law through ballot initiative, when having I can speak from experience that making law is so very complicated, and when you change the statutes in one place, they affect statutes all these other dozens of other places. Is that I think the fact that everything goes back and forth to the courts is just evidence of the fact that this is not how you're supposed to make law. Now, of course, I'm going to be supporting the abortion ban next November. Of course, I'm actually quite happy that the threshold to pass is still only 50%. But I'll speak plainly that I'd like to see abortion outlawed in Missouri at 50% plus one, and then immediately call a special session and raise the threshold for ballot initiatives, because making law this way is completely inefficient. And if you have any question about that, just look at how many court cases are involved around ballot initiatives, pro or con, things you like or don't like. And it's just, there are states that don't allow ballot initiatives. And I think Missouri, we won't ever get there, but we've got to make raising that threshold a super high priority once abortion's banned.
Well, we'll continue to follow this. We're going to try to get the Attorney General on to talk a little bit about this maybe tomorrow. John, always great having you on. Thank you.
Great. Have a nice Tuesday.
Yeah, we will. Thank you. John Lamping there. Good to get him on this morning. And again, that wording is going to be challenged in court. And I think right now it'll make people think it should be doing what everybody wants it to do. It'll clear up any question about ectopic pregnancies and all of that. It's all clearly explained right there.
Well, it's so interesting that people want to group an ectopic pregnancy as an abortion, but even Planned Parenthood differentiates between that. It is very different. Yeah.
Let's hope it makes it to the ballot, but something tells me in our court system in Missouri, it probably will not. All right, coming back, we're going to get to the latest. We're going to have in other news for you in just a couple minutes. Next hour, we'll talk to our friend Mark Walters, because the big, beautiful bill also is going to have an impact on suppressors. Not quite as quickly as we would have liked, but we're going to talk about that at about 7:35. Back here in just a minute.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
It looks like crews have cleared that accident westbound 270 at 170, and traffic is pretty well thinned out through there. We do have some volume now if you are northbound on 55, a little bit at 270, mostly at Bayless, but there is some moderate volume headed for Loughborough as well. Northbound 270, some moderate volume, Big Bend through Doherty Ferry. We've got eastbound 64, a little bit of moderate volume at Kings Highway. And if you are headed in from Illinois, there's some moderate volume on the Poplar westbound, but eastbound is slowing, headed for Route 3. This report is brought to you by Siding Express. Transform your home with the beauty and durability of James Hardie Siding. At Siding Express, they specialize in James Hardie siding installation. So visit sidingexpress.com today to schedule a free consultation. Sidingexpress.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, let's talk about our friends at Chesterfield Fence for just a moment. You have an opportunity this month to get 48 months interest-free financing when you call my friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Just mention my name when you call over there. Here you can enjoy your great backyard this summer and take your time paying for it if you qualify for that. And I think that's fantastic because they've got so many different options for you over there. New fire pit. Chesterfield Fence and Deck has got you covered. Need a new retaining wall around back? They can do that. Want the back porch you have maybe enclosed with screens? You can keep the mosquitoes out. They can do that. They can turn it into an all-season room, or they can just make a pergola for you out there. They've got some now that are louvered, and you can control it with your phone to let the sun in or block the sun if you want shade. And if you've thought of any or all of those, they've got a beautiful photo gallery, a digital photo gallery. They'll come to your house. They'll give you a free estimate. They can do free project design. You mention it, and they've got you covered at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. It is the sign you've had the very best, locally owned and operated since 1968. Get a hold of them today. Tell them Marc Cox sent you. Go online at chesterfieldfence.com.
While you start to think spring, that might mean a move is in your future. But the question is, when is the right time to buy? Well, I go to my friend Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage to ask that question. Stewie, how do buyers beat the competition when they're looking to buy a new home?
All right, Annie, we're going to give you 3 big bullets. Number 1, get the bagel loan. No closing costs. If you don't have to pay those closing costs, add it to the bid. You'll beat all the other offers. Number 2, tell the seller you're going to close in 10 days. 10 days, most lenders take 30 days just to get the loan approved. He's going to take your offer over everybody else's right away. Number 3, we give you the power of the pre-approval in your hands. You can access our portal anytime you want and generate your own pre-approval letter. Don't wait for the lender. You can make it happen yourself.
Well, the smart move starts by calling or texting my friend Stewie at 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. He just gave you those 3 tips to smart buying to beat the competition. Google the bagel loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The Annie Fry Show.
Steve Moore, welcome back to the show. How excited are you to know that those Trump tax cuts were made permanent?
It had so many policy triumphs and victories, things that we've worked for 30 years.
The Annie Fry Show. Weekdays from noon to 3. If he were a baseball player, he'd be batting 1,000. The Marc Cox Morning Show.
What's happening?
Go, you know the thing.
What the hell is going on?
In other news.
All right, so I hate snakes. It's not breaking news for me to tell you that. I don't know who the people are who go out and hunt pythons in Florida. I don't know who you are, but the challenge is on again. And I didn't realize there were rules, right? So I'm thinking they go out in their airboats or their boats. When they see the snake in the water, you just use a firearm and blow it out of the water, right?
What?
That was my assumption.
He's talking real hunting.
But they're not allowed to. They're not allowed to do that.
You just reach your hand in there and grab the python?
You have to wrangle them with your hands.
Oh my gosh.
And then humanely euthanize them with a screwdriver. You're not allowed to use a firearm.
With a what?
Like a screwdriver.
That's how you humanely do it?
Okay,
do you have to
so
sing him like a lullaby before you kill him too? Is that part of the humane?
Almost. Here are the rules. You have to register online, pay $25, complete mandatory training online, use non-motorized tools like snake hooks, tongs, and bags. No firearms, dogs, or drones are allowed. And then you have to humanely kill the snakes and check them in at official drop-off locations. So in other words, they can tell how you killed it. And they give you specific directions. There's a link on here on how to humanely kill them.
I'm just picturing you being like, honey, I need to use these kitchen tongs. What are you using them for?
No.
Don't worry about that.
No. This is insane.
I thought you can use tongs.
Well, yeah.
I'm just picturing
but you have to
trying
grab
to grab a python.
14, 15-foot-long snakes, you have to grab them by the head and then wrestle with them till you can, I guess, kill them. And then you have to put them in the boat and take them back to the checkpoint.
I need to see video of this. I was knocked last week because I didn't know that pythons are constrictors and that they're not venomous. I'm not up on my snake knowledge.
Okay.
So I
didn't know that?
I apologize to all of you snake experts. I did not know that, or I
you
forgot.
could win. The winner who brings in the most will win $10,000.
Well, you can't have people out there shooting them.
Why?
I mean, bam, bam, bam. There's like firearms going off all the way. You never know who's in a boat next to you. That obviously isn't going to work. But the screwdriver is
They hunt them
news
at
to
night.
me.
I'm just saying.
Oh, well,
I don't want to get
better.
that close to them. That's why I was thinking of
New
other
hobby
options.
for Sue.
Woo.
Not
All right.
doing it.
Here's some good news if you're planning to fly anytime soon. Nearly 20 years after we were first required to remove our shoes as we're going through security, the policy's being phased out. TSA planning to allow passengers to keep their shoes on while they go through general security at many of the major airports across the country. Yeah, you can applaud for that. So there was some sort of a memo that they sent out last week stating that this new policy, I guess, will be implemented starting Sunday.
Oh, that's
Cool.
exciting.
So
Quickly.
very soon, yeah.
That's great. I did hear they were going to make a special line for members of the military, active duty military, so they could kind of skip the longer lines if they're traveling.
Think of what a time saver this should be in line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you don't have to pull off your shoes and try to smush them back on afterwards.
It's true. You know, I don't know what this figure is for St. Louis sports fans, but listen to this shocking report out of New York for what sports fans up there pay on average every year to watch sports. Listen.
$4,785. That's how much it costs to be a sports fan a year these days. According to my next guest, buying a ticket from each of the 4 major league sports, 2 jerseys, 2 hats, cable TV, high-speed internet access, and subscribing to multiple streaming platforms could easily raise your expenses to that figure.
Is that not good? Now, we don't have all 4 major sports teams here, but still, you know, the Blues came out with new jerseys for a reason because they make money off them.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to buy the newest one, so that's gonna stack up after a while. If you've got season tickets to the city soccer games, or you want to go see the Cardinals or the Blues,
Battlehawks.
It's in the thousands.
I mean, those
without question.
jerseys are over $100,
Oh,
right?
they're like 180 or something.
Yeah,
Oh
but
my gosh.
Who's buying a jersey every year?
That's a good
I agree
point.
with you on that.
Like
The new ones
I
are
bought
pretty
one
cool.
like 3 or 4 years ago, and that'll last me for a while.
It's like the people who need the newest phone every single
Right.
time.
I'm sure there
I have
are
to have the
people
newest
like
jersey.
that, but not normal people.
I don't know. Not for me. That's expensive. Hey, did you guys hear that it's Prime Day starting today? But this goes on today through the 11th. And they do offer some really good deals. I'm totally guilty of buying stuff on Amazon. I'd love to not support a company like that, but I'll admit that I do. It's just so convenient.
It's too convenient.
It's too convenient. They offer some pretty good deal. I mean, I'm talking
Yeah, they
like
do.
40, 50, 60% off some of these things. And it's funny because all these influencers, this is like their Super Bowl. They'll wake up at 4 a.m. because they want to make sure that they can give you all these deals, because if you click on their discount code or whatever, or use their code,
They
they
get a
get a kickback, which is brilliant.
Is it bad of me that I stole the charger to my wife's computer this morning?
Well, you're admitting that on the air, Mark.
Oops, did I say
You
that
listening,
out loud?
Michelle?
Yeah.
You're looking for your charger? Mark has it.
She's got her phone. It's fine.
I joke with her all the time about her personal relationship with the guy that delivers all those Amazon boxes to our house.
He's like, hello again. How are you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Tom?
Long time no see.
Great
It's
to
been a
see you
couple
again.
days.
Yeah, where have you been? He probably was worried about us because we were on vacation. We probably thought we disappeared off the face of the earth.
Checking in, make sure everything's all right.
I know. And she's calling me right now. Look, I'm not making this up.
Are you serious?
She really
My
is.
wife is calling me right now, wants to know where her computer charger is.
You should pick that phone up. You really should.
I
You should put her.
shouldn't I?
Just let her know she's on the air.
Okay. Hang on. Here I will. All right, honey, I'm on the air. I can't talk right now. I didn't steal your charger, I promise.
Michelle, yes, he did. He said he did.
All right.
Was that
All
really
I
what
got
she was
a
calling about?
WTH when she answered. All right. We're going to take a quick break here. We're back in just a few minutes. We got Mark Edwards from for 2A Tuesday about 7:35. Stay tuned.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
The Cards, the Nationals.
Siteman Cancer Center game time 6:45. Play ball. Siteman Cancer Center, national leader in cancer.
The home of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
Summer in St. Louis means one thing: Cardinals baseball. It's more than a game. It's an STL tradition. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the boom of the fireworks. It's the soundtrack to summer for Cardinals Nation. So grab your cap and glove and take your spot in the stands. Because in St. Louis, baseball is more than a melody, it's our favorite song. Hey Cardinal fans, hydrate like a champ. Head to the ballpark Saturday, July 12th as the Cardinals take on the Braves. That day, 20,000 fans 16 and older score a City Connect tumbler courtesy of Coca-Cola and Quick Trip. Stay cool and sip in style all summer long with this 30-ounce stainless steel tumbler. Don't miss out on this fan-favorite giveaway. Grab your tickets today at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Nolan Gorman, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Schedule your free inspection today. Just dial pound 250 on your phone and say the keyword Windows. That's pound 250 keyword Windows, or head to rbastl.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
25 to 40%. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. President Trump announces 25% tariffs on imports from two big trading partners, Japan and South Korea, even higher for some others announced so far in letters sent to those countries' leaders, with more to come.
We're always subject to negotiate something that's fair, but we've talked to most of the countries, and pretty much they've had their way for many, many decades.
The tariffs are due to take effect August 1st. The president speaking there at the White House with Israel's prime minister. Trump says he thinks talks to end the war with Hamas and Gaza are going well.
President Trump reacting to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, revealing he'd nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Coming from you in particular, this is very meaningful. Thank you very much.
The Israeli Prime Minister responding to a question about a two-state solution.
I think Palestinians should have all the powers to govern themselves, but none of the powers to threaten us.
Revealing Israel and the U.S. are working to find countries to give Palestinians a better future.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. The sun is up for search teams going through debris from flash flooding in central Texas.
You have mangled trees, cars that were just thrown into the river, and just these chunks of debris that rescue teams have been sifting through, trying to find the dozens of victims that are still unaccounted for. The death toll right now has climbed to 104 people, including 28 children.
Fox's Brooke Taylor in Kerr County, Texas. It's day 5 of that search. A group of doctors and public health organizations is suing Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. over vaccine policy changes.
Calling it a public health emergency that demands immediate legal action and correction, the coalition that includes the American Academy of Pediatrics filed a lawsuit in federal court in Boston over the decision to stop recommending COVID-19 vaccinations for most children and pregnant women. The lawsuit alleges Robert F. Kennedy Jr. flouted federal procedures and misled the American public.
That's Fox's Stu Guzman. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AB.
Good morning, I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. Sunny, 76 degrees downtown at the Arch at 7:03. A 12-year-old is in custody after police say an 8-year-old boy was grazed in the face with a bullet in South City. Investigators say those kids were playing with a gun when it went off. This happening around 7:30 last night in the 3400 block of Cherokee. Thankfully, the boy is expected to be okay. The St. Louis police chief says he's considering citing parents for their kids' behavior at future city events and holidays. This comes after parents were cited over the weekend if their kids were caught in the city shooting off fireworks. The chief hopes it will push parents to pay more attention to their children and also bring juvenile crime rates down. In the Metro East, the O'Fallon City Council has voted to keep its 1% grocery tax. The mayor says the city was forced to vote to keep it after Illinois lawmakers passed a bill last year eliminating the statewide grocery tax. O'Fallon estimates it could lose about $1.2 million in revenue if that grocery tax were to go away. 7:04, 76 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. In sports, the Cards hosting the Nationals tonight after a day off yesterday. First pitch at Busch Stadium is 6:45. 76 degrees now, 7:04. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads this morning, not a bad commute. A couple of things to mention. Little bit of a slowdown eastbound on the Poplar Street Bridge headed for Route 3. Some moderate volume westbound. Eastbound 70, the express lanes remain closed, but eastbound 70 looks fine. Little bit of volume on northbound 55 in the right lanes at 270, northbound 270. A little bit slow at Big Bend, but that's it. Other than that, we look good this morning. Yeah, we are in really good shape. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Our weather's fairly quiet this morning, but the atmosphere will try to turn over going through the afternoon. Partly to mostly sunny skies. We'll keep an eye out for some scattered thunderstorms. Prime time, 2 to 8 p.m. A couple of these things could go strong, maybe even severe, but the main features will be heavy downpours of rain and lightning. 92 for the high. A couple of thunderstorms this evening, 73. Wednesday, partly sunny. A thunderstorm here and there, 90. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Our time right now, 7:06. We're at 76 degrees. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show on 97.1 FM Talk anytime or anywhere by downloading the free Odyssey app.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
I want to compliment your show on how fair and level-headed everything you guys talk about.
Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
Maybe what we need from a conservative standpoint is
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
I respect that. We don't agree. Listen to both sides.
This,
let's get it on,
is the Marc Cox Morning Show.
All right, happy Tuesday morning to you. Welcome into the Marc Cox Morning Show. I've just gotten off the phone with my wife where I have assured her that I didn't really unplug her computer this morning. I was just teasing. I don't know if she was more freaked out about not being able to work or not being able to get on Amazon Prime for Prime Days.
I just hope she's still listening right now.
I don't know if she is or not. She may be back at the house by now, but she was a little distressed with me. So I apologize for that. Anyway, glad you're with us today. A little rain in the forecast for later. Sue Thomas may have a busy afternoon for sure if that weather actually hits here this afternoon around 3 or 4 o'clock. It'll hit just in time for your afternoon drive. Isn't that wonderful? Something to look forward to this afternoon. Wow. We've got a lot going on. We're keeping an eye on this situation in Texas. It has turned pretty much to a recovery operation. They're still calling it a search and rescue. They're hoping beyond hope they may find somebody else clinging to a tree or alive somewhere. But at this point, since we're several days out now, it is very, very unlikely. And they're calling in, of course, FEMA is down there, and they've got a lot of volunteers from all over the place who are helping, and I'm sure a lot of counselors, because I can't imagine the grief that they're going through as they continue this search, and the parents, having to be delivered this bad news. Mm-hmm. It's just something you can't imagine. Now, there's lots of focus this morning on finger pointing and blame, and it's really kind of sickening to listen to when you hear what some of these people are saying, and I hate it. But that's kind of where we are in our society today. It's sad. Some of these people are so consumed by their hatred for the man in the Oval Office that they want to politicize every tragedy. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. Bottom of the hour, we'll get to Mark Walters. It's 2A Tuesday. We're going to talk a little bit more about what was in the big, beautiful bill when it came to the Second Amendment. Good news. It's just delayed good news from what I can tell. So we'll talk to Mark about that this morning at 7:35. Ryan Wiggins is going to be in here with us in the next hour. We'll get to all that for you coming up here shortly. Right now, Ethan, I want to get to our top stories, please.
The Marc Cox Short List.
And stop everything we're doing to go and hunt for these little missing white girls.
Isn't that sad? That is a member of the Houston mayor's, well, I don't think she's a staff member, but she was an appointee of the last Houston mayor, still in her appointed position, and suggests that the only reason anybody's paying any attention to these drownings in Texas is because it was basically an all-white group of girls at a Christian camp, and if there were any other race, nobody would pay any attention.
I think what we've seen here is exactly what President Trump has envisioned for FEMA, is immediately allowing the state to do the response and supporting them in every way that they can.
Thank you. That's exactly what everybody's seen down there. Kristi Noem, already on the ground, has been for a couple of days in Texas, and I think the president is scheduled to visit later this week.
I would love to be able to, at the right time, take those sanctions off, give them a chance at rebuilding, because I'd like to see Iran build itself back up in a peaceful manner and not going around saying death to America, death to the USA, death to Israel.
Yeah, the president's absolutely right. I mean, he wants peace, something that's even on the table as we find out that Benjamin Netanyahu has already nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Texas recently became the 16th state to help parents choose which school their kids attend.
South Carolina followed a few days later. This is a good thing.
Yeah, yes, indeed. How about that? School choice. Imagine that. Wouldn't that be a nice thing? So the reason this story is popping up this morning, Kim, is that for years, Florida bragged that it was a great place to live, and they had, of course, sunshine and the occasional hurricane. But other than that, you got to live in paradise down there. Kind of hot, palm trees,
Little hot, little humid.
beaches on, drinks on the beach, put your toes in the sand, all that good stuff. But one thing that sucked in Florida for many years were their educational test scores until the most recent report came out. And guess who has climbed to the top of the pack? Florida. Why is that? Because Florida is one of the states that led the nation in school choice. The report you heard there was from a guy named John Stossel. Remember him from 2020? He had from the show 2020, not the year 2020. John's been an investigative reporter for many years. He was on ABC for years now. He's kind of been independent from all that. But he was talking about the impact that school choice has had on all of these states, and why do we not have complete transferability school choice in the state of Missouri? I don't understand it. In Illinois, I understand it. They have a Democratic supermajority that is completely controlled by union mob thugs in Illinois. They're never going to allow school choice in a state like that. But other states have done it that have red legislatures, like Texas, like Florida, and like South Carolina. Listen.
Texas recently became the 16th state to help parents choose which school their kids attend. South Carolina followed a few days later. This is a good thing. Competition improves services. The post office couldn't get it there overnight. Then FedEx appeared, and suddenly the post office improved its speed. It's not as good as the private companies, but still, they got better. Consumer choice is a big reason capitalist countries outperform socialist ones. But in most of America, parents have little or no choice when it comes to which school their kids attend.
Yeah. We play the shell game in Missouri, right, where you can donate to a fund, and then part of that can be used to pay scholarships where kids can move around. But we don't truly have school choice in the state. And I really hope that's something that Governor Kehoe and the legislature will seriously look at next year. This argument that, from the teachers that it would hurt public schools, well, only if you're not competing. Why not fire a few teachers who are bad and hire ones that are good? But, of course, that's not what they're going to do. Listen to Stossel here.
But union boss Randy Weingarten about how hard it is to fire even a very bad teacher. She smugly replied,
"We'll police our own profession."
Now, the union does allow a school to fire a bad teacher. She says you just have to follow the steps. But look at these. It's unbelievably complicated and long. And this is just the first page. I have to stand up to show the whole thing. This is what a principal would have to go through to fire a bad teacher.
Unbelievable.
So, I was going to say, I just had a friend who texted me talking about something that came up actually at my church, and they were saying that the ESA type school choice, which stands for Education Savings Accounts, I guess it's a form of school choice that allows families to receive public funds to pay for, different educational expenses. That would be the least government intrusive, and I guess that's what we have here in Missouri.
At least government is the concern that if the government is involved, they're going to have more of a say over. The homeschoolers worry about that. I know.
Yeah. I mean, think about Illinois. They were talking about requiring homeschoolers to submit basically their lesson plans.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is very simple. It's a voucher.
Mm-hmm. To use the money however you see fit.
Correct. You can put money in an educational savings account. You can start setting that aside. Most people don't do that till their kids are born. If you want to put the kids in private school when they're 7 or 8 years old, you're not going to have enough money in there to amount to anything, is the point. And while that's the least invasive way to do it, and it's the most government-free way to do it, it's your money, you're spending it the way you want to spend it, that's fine. The point is, poor people who are trapped in pathetic school districts like the St. Louis Public Schools, they don't have that option. And they should have the option to send their kids to a school that is better performing. And suddenly you would miraculously see test scores improve in the St. Louis Public Schools, or they would have to shut down.
Mm-hmm. Now, the question, because I agree that vouchers should be in place. I think parents should be able to choose whatever works best for their kid.
Yes.
The challenge then would be, and this isn't the state's fault, but would be do the parents have the means to get the kid there? Because a lot of these kids, like in the county, I remember going to Parkway West, and I don't know what percentage it was, but so many of those kids were bussed in from the city, and they'd have like an hour drive. They'd get picked up super early because they'd make all these stops picking up all these kids.
During forced busing, and some districts still do that on a voluntary basis, I know. I'm just saying we should do it in Missouri, and it's not currently. Full vouchers are just not a thing. In the states where they are, test scores have gone up. I'll just say that. So we need a little competition when it comes to all of that. Here at the bottom of the hour, we're going to get to our friend Mark Walters, because the big, beautiful bill passed. It had some of the things in it we were hoping for. We just can't take advantage of them yet. And he'll explain at 7:35. Stay tuned.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Good morning. There's a little bit of volume out there, but it's not bad. Northbound 55 in the right lanes at 270. There's some moderate volume there, and on northbound 270 itself. But that's mainly a little bit of Gravois and then Big Bend on up through Manchester. Eastbound 64 has a slow pocket out by Lake St. Louis Boulevard and at Wing Haven, but then things generally open up. 70 is in good shape. And on the Illinois side, there is some volume, just a little bit of moderate volume westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Do you know how to handle your money in retirement? Because this is not a situation where you think, we'll just wing it. We'll see if we've got enough to take us through the entire thing. No. When it comes to retirement planning, you really need a written financial plan, and the trusted team at Financial and Tax Architects are the best. They have helped people all over St. Louis retire with confidence, and that's what you want. You want to know what you're doing, and they have customized plans. So you sit down and they tailor a plan specifically to your goals, but not only your goals, your values. They go over everything with you, and you'll just feel so much better that you actually have a plan and know how to make your money go as far as it possibly can in retirement. Now, give them a call, 314-888-5101, or visit FTA-RIA.com. That's FTA-RIA.com, and take the first steps.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is, who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Well, few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation today. 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters. BannerConstruction.com.
I'm Ultima Morgan. Every year, almost 30,000 babies in America are born with birth injuries. It's every parent's worst nightmare. If your child suffered a birth injury, please call our firm to find out if we can help.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Celebrate National Carpet Cleaning Month with Zero Res and purchase 3 rooms of carpet cleaned and get 1 free, plus $50 off air duct services. Book online today at ZeroResSTL.com or call 314-474-2020 and take advantage of the summer savings.
Hey, it's Annie. Get your conceal and carry with the certified experts at STS Armory. From beginners and ladies only to pepper spray, STS Armory has the class for you. Call 618-931-GUNS or stop by in Pontoon Beach at the corner of Highway 111 and South Drive.
1 in 4 Americans today are living with a disability. I'm one of them. People with disabilities are extremely talented, resilient problem solvers that have so much to offer. And we've got a trusted ally on our side, an organization we can rely on, Easter Seals. Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter seals. Make it yours.
Learn more and get involved at easterseals.com.
The Cards, the Nationals.
Siteman Cancer Center game time 6:45. Play ball. Siteman Cancer Center, national leader in cancer.
The home of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM KMOX. Smashing his guitar at the end of every segment. Marc Cox.
How you doing, young lady?
Follow the show on Facebook. Facebook.com/The Marc Cox Show.
Had a lawful word first time that we spoke.
You're looking for a girl that'll treat you right. You're looking for in the daytime with the light.
You might be the type if I play my cards right. I'll find out by the end of the night.
You expect me to just let you.
All right, welcome back. What were we playing there, Ethan, exactly?
That's Nelly Furtado.
Oh, how did I not know that?
I thought you requested that. No?
Yeah, I know. No, I'm back from vacation going, what's happening here? All right. Sorry about that. I did not recognize that particular song. I do need to say something here because I was out of town over the 4th of July. I was on a beach. We went back to South Carolina. We have not been there in a while. It's been a few years. I worked there at one point in my TV career in the upstate of South Carolina around Greenville, and we went back to the beach. We decided to go to Myrtle Beach, where we've been once before years ago. Not all that impressed with downtown Myrtle Beach, like where the boardwalk is and all that. It's very. It's obviously very commercialized. It has been for a long time, but they got all these rules now. So it costs $36 to park for 4 hours near the beach in downtown Myrtle Beach, right? And then if you want, you can't take your own tent onto the beach. You have to either rent one of their umbrellas and chairs or sit in the sun. Or I guess you could get your own umbrella if you wanted to, but you can't have a tent. You can only have an umbrella. So we got a little tired of that. We found a place called Surfside, which is just south of Myrtle Beach. Much better. They don't have those kind of restrictions. You can put your tents up if you want. Parking is reasonable. It's a quaint little village just south of Myrtle Beach. It was beautiful. But here's the point of that diatribe. I love patriotism. I love patriots. You know that if you listen to the show. And my heart swelled with pride. It grew 6 times bigger than it normally is on July 4th, to quote the Grinch. And because we're on the beach, we didn't know what to expect, right? We get out there, everybody's got their red, white, and blue swim trunks on, and Uncle Sam's walking up and down the beach. And all of a sudden, just before 1 o'clock, 2 groups of people came down, one on one side of the pier, one on another side of the pier, and they unfurled one of those big American flags, like you see the St. Louis Fire Department hang off of their ladder trucks, one of those really huge American flags, and somebody had each corner of it, and there were people surrounding it, keeping it up off the ground, and I'm thinking, what's going on? Why are they doing this? Because you'd have to be really above it to see how big and beautiful it was instead of at eye level. And then somebody told me that every July 4th, military jets fly down the coast in tribute to the 4th of July. So sure enough, it wasn't right at 1 o'clock, but a few minutes after, first what appeared to me to be probably a F-15 or an F-18 flew by, and then some older, more vintage jets flew down the beach wagging their wings, and people were cheering, and I mean, it still brings a chill to me talking about it today. It was so awesome to see that display of patriotism from a quite diverse crowd. I have to say, on the beach, people taking advantage of the sun and the surf, and this is before that. Fortunately, before that, the day we left, a tropical storm was moving into Myrtle Beach, and we headed out of there on Saturday. But it was perfect weather on the 4th. And just a reminder of all the patriotism. Then now I know it's a red state and there are a lot of Trump signs, not on the beach, but off the beach as you're driving around. But I just thought that was a fantastic reminder. Maybe you get a little bit of that. We went and watched fireworks at a local place down there. that night. But I just thought that was fantastic. Every year they do that. People lined up on the pier waving their flags when those jets flew over.
See, it's nice to see that because we've seen so many images this past weekend from the 4th of people just saying how, they hate America and, this isn't a holiday to celebrate anything. It's a time to mourn and do better. I mean, even Kamala Harris had some doom and gloom 4th of July post.
Is that surprising?
No, not at all.
Well, what we should have celebrated on the 4th was, 160 days without Kamala Harris being president of the United States.
She's the leading candidate for governor of California. And then up until, I was just talking about this yesterday, up until yesterday, up until like a week ago, one of the polls had her leading as the candidate for the Democratic candidate for president. She hasn't even put her name in the hat. No one has obviously officially said anything. But they were talking to likely Democratic voters. Now Pete Buttigieg has surpassed her if he were to throw his name in the hat, which, by the way, I think he very well could.
Oh, I know he will.
Mm-hmm.
You know he will. What? America's not doing that. They're not going to. America's not going to do that. No.
You're giving people way too much credit right now.
In a couple of the big blue cities, but the rest of America is not going to do that. They're not going to elect Pete Buttigieg. He was a horrible mayor before he was a horrible Secretary of Transportation. Are they going to elect him just because he's a gay man?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes. People have done a lot dumber things. Absolutely.
Yeah, but they didn't elect Kamala Harris just because she was a black woman, which is what the left wanted. Oh, you have to elect her. She's a woman and she's black. And even though she wasn't technically, she's Jamaican and whatever. Indian. I don't know. The Democratic Party in this country is dooming itself to minority status if they are dumb enough to put one of those two people at the head of their party.
Don't put it past them.
I'm telling you. Hopefully, it's not going to be an issue. J.D. Vance will be swept into office. He and Kristi Noem. You watch it. It's coming. You heard it here first. All right, coming up, Mark Walters on what was in the big, beautiful bill that all gun owners are going to appreciate. We'll be back in just a minute.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/radio. That's leaffilter.com/radio.
Just looking at another one of the videos my friend Matt Hayes sent me of a listener here to the radio station and the work they had to do around their pool deck, where they had started to get some of the concrete that was poured around the lip of the pool had started to sink down. And then they had some porch problems as well that they needed polyjacking on to get that porch lifted back up to where it was, so it's not a tripping hazard. And Matt's able to do that, and he's able to do it very well. He comes out with his polyjacking services, and he finds your driveway, your sidewalk, whatever it is. He inserts this underneath it. It lifts it back up, and then you don't have to worry about it again. You don't need to pour new concrete. You just need to have Matt come out and give you an estimate on getting all that fixed for you. If you've got water in your basement, he can fix that too. He is a foundation specialist, and he's a local family-owned company as well. Check him out at HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
Good morning. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. Sunny, 76 degrees here downtown at the Arch. 7:30 is our time. First responders from Missouri are on their way right now to Texas to help after that catastrophic flooding. The death toll now sitting at 104. A 52-member Missouri Task Force 1 team will be there in Texas for 2 weeks helping with rescue efforts. Many Planned Parenthoods in Missouri resumed abortions Monday after a judge blocked most of the state's restrictions on abortion. Clinics offering medication abortions, though, would still need the health department to approve what's called a complication plan. As of yesterday, no clinics in the state have that approval. In sports, the Cardinals are hosting the Nationals tonight after having a day off yesterday. First pitch at Busch Stadium, 6:45. I'm Kim St. Ange. It is now 7:31, 76 degrees. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, it's summer traffic, but we do have some volume out there this morning. And if you are northbound on 55, you will encounter it, especially headed for Bayless. But today it goes past Loughborough. It's almost all the way up through Bates. We've also got volume on northbound 55, ramping on to 270. Northbound 270, moderate volume in pockets from there on up through Manchester. Eastbound Highway 30 is pretty slow at 270 at this hour. And eastbound 70, some moderate volume at 270. Then things open up. 64 has a little bit more volume than that. It's slowing at Prospect and from Wing Haven in pockets past 94 and slows again right at 170. Also some volume westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. This report brought to you by The Diamond Shop. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
I don't know about you. I'll just speak for myself. I know whenever I need to do something around my house, it's just nice to already know somebody, to have a number in your phone. Oh, yeah, this is who I need to call, instead of scouring through Google and trying to read all the reviews. And it's just a headache. The number that you want to save in your phone is this, and it's for Lakeside Renovation and Design. It's 636-978-5000. Again, that's my friends over there at Lakeside Renovation and Design. Because anytime you're thinking of doing some sort of renovation at your home, that's who you want to call. It's a company you can trust, family-owned company. They've been doing this here in the St. Louis area for close to 30 years, and they do just about everything. Lakeside Renovation and Design does kitchens, bathrooms. You could have the spa-like bathroom that you've been dreaming about since you moved into your home 30 years ago. Basements, that's something we would love to do, just to have more livable space to host family and friends. We don't really have that right now. A deck, maybe you need your roof redone, new siding or windows. Let's just say that you've noticed your siding is cracking, fading, which, by the way, can happen over time from the sun beating down on it or all this crazy weather that we have. Well, Lakeside Renovation and Design, they're going to install this beautiful James Hardy siding. And that, by the way, you don't think about this, but that can really improve your home's curb appeal. James Hardy siding, it's the gold standard in siding. It's what's trusted by homeowners and builders more than any brand. And they're going to make sure the job's done right. Plus, they're going to back it up with a lifetime workmanship warranty. Oh, by the way, did I mention that Lakeside's entire team is in-house? They're not outsourcing to third companies, so you're not having to hound the people to make sure they actually show up. They know personally every single person who's coming to work on your home. Call Lakeside Renovation and Design today, 636-978-5000. They're online at lakesiderd.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-949-1441. That's 800-949-1441. 800-949-1441.
The heat's really been extreme last week or so. I have a wife that's going through change of life, and she woke me up at 3 a.m. and said there's something wrong with the air conditioner. I checked the thermostat, and it's set at 66, and it is saying 66. Like we set it every single night. I said, okay, how do you feel? She goes, okay, well, as long as it's 66. And then within 2 minutes, all the covers are back on her, and she says she is freezing. I said, honey, the air conditioner isn't broke. Your thermostat is broke. So if you're living that way, my advice is this. I'm not the brightest bulb in the box, but Here's what I do. I keep my laughter inside. It is real what they're feeling. You don't need to call me. You can say you called me, but you don't need to call me. Save your money. This is Bart Inman. One easy number in Missouri and Illinois. 314-293-2600. God bless.
Always giving you more. The Marc Cox Morning Show. The Marc Cox Morning Show. On the air and streaming at 971talk.com.
I'm going to just say this as plainly as I can. This is a simple truth. If you're for a secure border, safer communities, and a strong military, this bill is for you.
If you ban them in the future, the bullets will have been shot and there won't be any more available.
So you don't shoot deer with a bullet that size. If you do, you could cook it at the same time.
Put that double-barrel shotgun and fire 2 blasts outside the house.
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
This is 2A Tuesday, brought to you by the Range St. Louis West.
All right, our friend Mark Walters with us this morning from Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. And Mark, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing fine. Happy Independence Day. I was off last week and back in here, got to enjoy a flyover by military planes on the beach in South Carolina. It was glorious.
Well, you know, don't forget, when you say Happy Independence Day or Happy 4th of July, you've got to couch it with this. Brought to you by citizens with guns.
Thank you. Yes, you did. But brought to you by citizens with...
the real here, guys.
That's right.
You posted that. Did you see that, Mark?
I did.
I feel like I have to say Mark Walters versus Marc Cox. Marc Cox, you posted that I saw on Facebook, right?
I reposted a photo that said just that. And brought to you by men, carrying military-style weapons at the time, right?
Absolutely, and I love the actual picture of George Washington crossing the Delaware with the AR-15 too, right?
Yeah, I also saw one that said, excuse me, General Washington, a federal judge has passed an injunction that says you can't cross here. Which never would have happened.
Out on the other side.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
You don't have a permit here, General.
So I played the bite there from Mike Johnson talking about the big, beautiful bill. There was a time last week, I believe, before this thing actually made it out of the Senate, when we thought the suppressor language had been removed, but it must have been put back in right before it passed. Do you know how that went down?
Yeah, what you had was the House. The whole thing was a convoluted mess, to be honest with you, because the bigger picture and the bigger question is, did we win something here? Okay. And there's a lot of people that feel we didn't. Let me start from the beginning. I'll put it in a nutshell. The House added the suppressor language in their version of the bill. The Senate added the Short-Barreled Rifle Act, which removed short-barreled rifles as well. So for a brief moment there, we had both in there. The Senate parliamentarian installed by Harry Reid in 2012 pulled it out, claiming it wouldn't get past the Byrd rule, which is very complicated. All right, there's 6 or 7 steps that it has to pass. Well, she's a Democrat, so she was going to see to it that it didn't get in to begin with. That's my belief. I believe it was a partisan move. Others don't believe that. Then when it went, the Senate pulled it out, didn't put it back in, and went back to the House. The House tried to add it. Clyde here in Georgia tried to add it back, was unsuccessful. They wanted the bill on Trump's desk by the 4th, and they got it. And now what we have is the tax gone, but registration in place still.
And the tax is not gone until January, right? It doesn't not start till next January?
That's the way I read it, January of 2026. Now, there's a couple things in play because the National Rifle Association, the Second Amendment Foundation, in coalition with the Firearms Policy Coalition and the American Suppressor Association, are suing now to remove the regulation because without the tax, you don't need the regulation, which was only put in place to see to it that the tax was paid.
Yeah. It was a tax grab in the 1930s.
Correct. So the way it was, the fact that it couldn't get out of the Senate leaves us in kind of limbo. So we don't have to pay a tax, but we still have to register for those items, that being a suppressor or short-barreled rifle. It has nothing to do with machine guns yet. We'll make trouble for them down the road later. But we're going to either have to have legislation to codify this, or we're going to have the court involved that slaps down the injunction. One of those two things has to finally put it to bed, because if the administration said, well, we're just not going to enforce it until it moves its way through the courts, well, if a later court finds that it is constitutional, you're going to have a lot of felons on your hands when Democrats retake office.
Exactly. I know the Second Amendment Foundation has issued a statement saying that the NFA is unconstitutional. Have they taken that to court yet?
I'm not sure if that one's filed. The GOA has filed.
Okay.
And others. This one's moving quickly. I believe so.
Well, I mean, it can't happen fast enough. Now, I would assume it's some other budgetary thing where they're not actually dropping the tax till January. I'm just waiting for all the gun shops to say it's okay. By now, we'll cover the $200 fee.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen to sales for suppressors. Are people going to put them on hold and none sold between now and then?
Yeah.
So I wonder what's going to happen to the industry here. I haven't heard a lot of chatter about that. That's an interesting thing to explore, I think, on a future show.
Yeah, no kidding. It's true. So, of course, once again, one thing we celebrate when we celebrate our independence and we celebrate the Constitution and our rights is the Second Amendment. This is the headline in Politico from 10 hours ago. After Austria's deadliest shooting, gun reform is no longer avoidable. So now in Austria, they're claiming that the shooting there this past week has pierced the illusion that legal gun ownership guarantees safety and the country's political parties can't sit on the fence any longer. So now they're calling for gun confiscation basically in Austria.
The same thing happening in Brazil with Lula now.
Yeah.
In fact, Dr. John Bott was just on my show this Sunday live from Brazil, where he's down there speaking. I'm surprised they even let him speak because they're now going after free speech down there as well. We talked briefly about what happened, what's going to happen in Austria. Here's what you need to know about that. Most people are not going to pay attention to Austria or Brazil because they don't live there and really don't care. But in the bigger scheme of things, they should care. Here's why. Because the American gun grabbers are watching everything going on in other nations around the world and attempting, because everything that they want there in Austria and Brazil is what they want for you here. So you better be paying attention. It's a roadmap.
Yeah. And I didn't realize when I got to looking at this that both Glock and Steyr are headquartered in Austria.
Correct.
Their world headquarters are there.
You're talking to somebody that is sitting 11 minutes north of the Glock facility in the United States. I've been there. It's amazing. My wife is at work in Smyrna, Georgia right now today.
Yeah. Yeah.
The headquarters is in Austria.
I think people need to pay attention to what's going on here. Just we talk about it every Tuesday, but it's constantly at work. And you're right. This will be the next thing that they'll try to wait and see how Austria handled it. Of course, Austria doesn't have a Second Amendment.
No, but something just came to mind while we were talking about this. Wouldn't this be great for Trump to stand up and say he just wooed Glock to move from Austria all the way to Georgia and brought all those additional jobs in manufacturing, making guns? That'd drive the left nuts, wouldn't it?
I wondered that. Like, how many of these the problem is a lot of these companies that have concerns with what's being done in other countries probably worry that the United States would then do the same thing. It's just a matter of when. But if they were to move their headquarters.
Right.
Yeah, and Kim, I want to say hi, Kim. I forgot to say hi, Kim,
morning.
but that's because you called me first. I didn't
That's
get to say it on there. So hi, Kim.
Hi.
Well,
yeah,
good.
I think you're right. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark Walters, always great having you on, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great show. Always fun. Thanks for what you do.
We'll talk to you again soon. You can listen to Mark there at Armed American Radio. Of course, armedamericannews.org, armedamericanradio.org. You can listen to his daily defense show every day. It's fantastic. Occasionally, he lets me get on there and have a little bit of fun as well. So it's good. It's good. It's a great resource for you. armedamericannews.org is his website. So be sure and check that out. And, of course, he's also a spokesman for the Second Amendment Foundation, which we talked about there, because they're going to be one of the ones probably going to court over the National Firearms Act. I hope they're successful. Kim, what are we talking about today? Kim on a Whim.
Well, we know that bullying is a problem everywhere, but now one state is kind of being extreme about it, and I'm curious to get your take on this. They have decided that these teens, if they are found bullying someone, that they should lose their driver's license, have it suspended for up to a year.
Wow.
Will that stop the problem? Could that be implemented here in Missouri or Illinois? Let's talk about it.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got road work causing delays, a brief one, but it is westbound 6440 out by Highway K this morning. They've got the left lane blocked, and there is a jam behind it. But eastbound 70 is in good shape until you get right at 270. It's a little slow through there. The express lanes are closed, but 70 is fine into downtown, the regular lanes. We've got eastbound 64 slowing around Winghaven and 170. We've got northbound 270 with slow pockets, but it's just moderate volume. It stretches from 55 up through Manchester, and southbound is slowing at Ladue Road. There is some volume westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge as well. This report brought to you by Siding Express. Transform your home with the beauty and durability of James Hardie Siding. At Siding Express, they specialize in James Hardie siding installation. You can visit sidingexpress.com today and just schedule a free consultation. That's sidingexpress.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, let's talk about the heat for just a few minutes, man. It was hot outside yesterday. I spent some time working in the yard a little bit when I got back from my vacation. And I have to tell you, if my air conditioner was not working properly, that would have been a nightmare in these temperatures. You need to call my friends at Air Comfort Service, Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. They'll come out and give you a free second opinion if you've been talked to about compressor repairs, something like that. Be sure you've got Air Comfort's phone number, 314-513-0091. You can go ahead and put that in your phone under AC or whatever you have to. They're going to be there. They offer 24-hour emergency service as well. Let them come out and do an AC system check for you. They're great at that. They always check the whole system. They come out to my house. I'm part of their maintenance plan twice a year. They come out in the fall. They come out again in the spring. They check the furnace. They check the air conditioner. They want to make sure it's all running and in tip-top shape. For $19 a month, you get your entire HVAC system checked out twice a year. You get discounts if you need service. You can believe that my friends at Air Comfort Service are going to be there when you need them. 314-513-0091. Tell them Marc Cox told you to call, or go to aircomfortservice.com.
Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Men. Need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare? U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peters does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Rolling hot dogs 2 for $5 on a fluffy bun. All beef hot dogs rolling in. Hurry, cause they're on the run. Pick your toppings anyway. Roll into this deal. Pick your 2, big Q2. Roll and make some meal. Mustard relish, sauerkraut. Ain't no need to scream and shout. Get 2 all beef hot dogs and a big Q for $5. Only at QT. More than a gas station.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon with news for listeners who, like me, want to learn more about Bitcoin. Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club is coming to St. Louis later this summer. The Bitcoin Ben Crypto Clubs teach members what Bitcoin is, how to buy it, how to safely store it, and how to avoid scams. And we'll connect with others like us who want to learn more about crypto. St. Louis will be the 7th club nationwide and Ben's hometown. If you want to know more about Bitcoin, you need to know Bitcoin Ben. Learn more at bitcoinben.io. That's bitcoinben.io.
This summer, while you stay cool, our first responders stay on the front lines. The St. Louis First Responder Canteen is there to keep them hydrated and supported. Find out how you can help by visiting 971talk.com/talkinaction.
You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show. And now, more sweet intro music. Kim on a Whim.
Well, there's a new Tennessee law that's trying to crack down on bullying because we know bullying is so hard. And Mark, it's not like when you and I were kids, especially you, not to,
Oh, no, it's not.
Had to throw that out there, where you could bully someone actually in the classroom at school, but then you could go home and log on to the internet and continue the bullying. Cyberbullying was just not a thing. I think it was Facebook came out when I was about to go into college. We had, I guess it was AIM or something like that, and you'd put your little away status on. And I mean, yeah, you could bully people on that, but it's not like today where you have, Snapchat and the teenagers have Instagram and whatever other app is cool these days, where it's like you're just constantly carrying it around and you can nonstop bully someone.
I think it must be awful. I still say a good punch to the nose would end a lot of this stuff a lot sooner.
Oh, I'm sure it would. So this law in Tennessee took effect July 1st, so just last week, and it basically would, if a teenager is involved in bullying or cyberbullying, they could lose their driving privileges or their ability to get their driver's license for up to a full year. The question I would have to ask is how do they, where's the line? What do they consider bullying? How do they verify? I mean, unless you can actually pull up a text message or something like that, or there's several eyewitnesses.
Well,
how
I would
do you
assume
verify
it would have
that?
to go to court.
But that's such a headache. You know how much bullying goes on? Are they going to take all these cases to court?
But at some point you have to draw the line, and you have to say there are consequences for your actions. You're not with mom and dad who are soft parenting anymore. We're not going to send you to the corner for a timeout. We're going to take away something that matters to you.
Mm-hmm.
Want to see a teen do a drop and flop? Take away their cell phone, right? So what do most teenagers care about? They care about turning 16 and getting a driver's license so they can hang out with their friends.
Well, more and more
take it away from them.
More and more of these teenagers I've seen don't want to get their driver's license.
I know.
It's weird. I do not understand that. Someone explain that to me. If your teenage kid does not want to get their driver's license, that was all I thought about when I got my permit. I'm like, I just can't wait to be 16 to finally be able to drive by myself and have that sense of independence.
There are some horribly mean people out there, and the anonymity of the internet makes them all feel like they're 10 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
But they would never have the guts to say it to your face.
Oh, the keyboard warriors.
So I think that's a beautiful idea. And I would imagine the greater majority of students want their license as opposed to don't want it. I've known a few who, for whatever reason, weren't interested in getting a license. But for most of them, that's important. It's a means to go hang out with your friends and go do what you want to do. The threat of taking that away will get their attention. That's the point. It used to be the point of a smack on the butt when a kid was little. It got their attention and made them think, I don't want that to happen to me again.
Right.
Maybe what is the next step? That somehow if you get convicted of bullying, just like if you get convicted of murdering someone, it has further repercussions for when you're no longer a juvenile.
Mm-hmm. It follows them. You're saying.
I'm speculating. That would have to obviously go through a court to determine something like that.
It depends
but how
old
serious
they are.
is it? What if it leads to somebody committing suicide or harming themselves?
Yeah,
because you bullied them online.
Listen to this guy. I want to play this soundbite for you. This is Scott Payne with Contact Careline, which is an organization in Tennessee that provides free emotional support for people in crisis.
I would like to see going forward a movement towards working with the bullies. Bullies aren't just born, they just don't pop up. They're products of their environment. And so we need to be talking with them and finding out what's going on in their lives that's bringing about this type of behavior from them.
It's probably true. I think you need to do something to punish them, but then I think there is the follow-up step of the parents. Well, the problem is that probably a lot of these parents who have the kids who are bullies are not doing much. Not all. There are certainly parents who I feel like are really great parents, and the kids is still a bully.
But I mean, lots of things lead to it. Insecurities, whatever.
Right.
I was bullied in high school early on and had to punch a kid in the nose. And it happened in gym class, and the gym teacher saw it happen, and nothing happened.
Really?
And then
you didn't get in trouble?
Because you didn't have the stupid one strike you're out kind of thing that they do these days. That if there's a fight, both kids get suspended automatically. They didn't do that back then.
Well, because even when I was in school, I never punched anybody, but I feel like they would have handled that differently and said, hey, we understand that this was hurtful and that they said something that wasn't nice, but you can't react like that. You need to tell a trusted teacher.
The bullying stopped.
It's very different now.
And you're not allowed to do that anymore,
teachers,
which is a shame.
They have an open hand policy. I don't know. Some teacher friend of mine was telling me that. We're like, you basically can do nothing as a teacher. And I'm not saying a teacher
open
would.
Hand,
I'm not
like
saying a teacher would
slap
punch
him in the face
kid,
with an
but-
open hand.
I'm not saying the teacher would smack the kid for bullying, but some of these kids misbehaving probably could use a good slap.
I got paddled in 7th grade. I know that it was a deterrent. They're not allowed to do that anymore. I would completely support bringing that back, and it'd get the attention of a lot of these brats out there. There's no doubt about it. All right, Ryan Wiggins is coming up with some of the little-known great things happening in the big, beautiful bill. Stay tuned.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Drury Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Drury Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Have you been notified that your subsidy for Obamacare health insurance is going away? Well, you can leave now while you're still healthy and qualify for much better individual plans. Greg Hammonds at GregHammonds.com has been helping people get affordable health insurance with great coverage for over 35 years. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA marketplace. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible, and they're 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to GregHammonds.com. That's GregHammonds.com. He can custom design a plan by you, not the government.
Hey, it's Tom Ackerman. Where do you go for your annual eye health examination? Ophthalmology Associates, of course. Doctors Greg Birdie and Ranjan Malhotra. Dr. Robert Bersati, he's the one I saw. Or Dr. Andrew Royer. They are available to you and are there to take care of all your vision needs at Ophthalmology Associates. They're on Manchester Road, a half mile west of 270. Your vision is their business at Ophthalmology Associates. In fact, many of their patients are doctors themselves. That's why they call themselves the doctors, Ophthalmology Associates. Are your eyes itchy and scratchy? It could be more than just allergies. They're the leaders in dry eye diagnosis and treatment. They're the leaders in LASIK and discussing those procedures. And if you're having difficulty reading or driving at night, you have glare from oncoming headlights, could be early signs of cataracts, and they can talk to you about multifocal lens implants. Ophthalmology Associates, youridoc.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
The search continues this morning. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. 5 days since flash flooding hit central Texas. Crews are digging through debris looking for the dozens still missing. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick went to a flooded summer camp and spoke with someone who saved as many girls as he could.
The water went from his ankles to his knee to his neck so fast, and that the girls were holding on to him. And before he knew it, he was just pushed by the water.
At least 105 deaths now, we're told, are reported in Texas. President Trump says he's going to send more weapons to Ukraine.
Russian air assaults are getting heavier and more complex, and President Trump says Ukraine deserves more help.
We're going to send some more weapons. We have to. They have to be able to defend themselves. They're getting hit very hard now.
This promise comes just days after the Pentagon announced it would hold back the supply of some air defense missiles out of concern U.S. stockpiles were too low. The Kremlin assessing what it describes as contradictory statements.
I'm not happy with President Putin at all.
President Trump spoke to the Russian leader last week, but reported they'd made no progress towards ending the war. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
The president holds a cabinet meeting this morning.
That's going to be the president's 6th cabinet meeting later on today, and it follows a dinner he had last night with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, where he surprised the president with a formal nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize.
I want to present to you, Mr. President, the letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee.
The two leaders celebrated the U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. President Trump revealing that talks with Iran may happen in the next week or so. He also floated the prospect of taking sanctions off Iran, of course, only at the right time, in order to facilitate rebuilding in a peaceful manner. He said the country is in a lot different place than it was just 2 weeks ago.
That's Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the White House. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AB.
Good morning. Hope you're having a great Tuesday so far. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. Here downtown at the Arch, 76 degrees and sunny at 8:03. A 12-year-old is in custody after police say an 8-year-old boy was grazed in the face with a bullet in South City. Investigators say those kids were playing with a gun when it went off. This happening around 7:30 last night in the 3400 block of Cherokee. Thankfully, the boy is expected to be okay. The St. Louis police chief says he's considering citing parents for their kids' behavior at future city events and holidays. This comes after parents were cited over the weekend if their kids were caught in the city shooting off fireworks, which did happen. The chief hopes it will push parents to pay more attention to their children and bring juvenile crime rates down. In the Metro East, the O'Fallon City Council has voted to keep its 1% grocery tax. The mayor says the city was forced to vote on it after Illinois lawmakers passed a bill last year eliminating the statewide grocery tax. The city there estimates it would lose about $1.2 million in revenue if that grocery tax were to go away. 8:04 and 76 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. In sports, the Cardinals are hosting the Nationals tonight, that after having a day off yesterday. First pitch at Busch Stadium is 6:45. 76 degrees now, 8:04. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Couple of accidents right now. One is southbound 270 at McDonald Boulevard, and the two left lanes are blocked. Boy, traffic is really stacked up through there. Accident eastbound 70 approaching Lindbergh, that one in the left lane and causing a delay. And an accident eastbound 370 at Elm this morning as well. Now, eastbound traffic on 64 has a slow pocket or two from out west into downtown, but it's not bad. And northbound 270, mainly moderate volume in pockets from Gravois up through Ladue Road, and some volume westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Our weather's fairly quiet this morning, but the atmosphere will try to turn over going through the afternoon, partly to mostly sunny skies. We'll keep an eye out for some scattered thunderstorms, prime time, 2 to 8 p.m. A couple of these things could go strong, maybe even severe, but the main features will be heavy downpours of rain and lightning, 92 for the high. A couple of thunderstorms this evening, 73. Wednesday, partly sunny, a thunderstorm here and there, 90. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Time right now, 8:06, 76 degrees. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show on 97.1 FM Talk anytime, anywhere. Just download the free Odyssey app.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
Listen to both sides.
The bottom line is,
I respect that we don't agree.
You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Just to find a voice.
Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
I don't know how to put this.
Marc Cox.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Well, it adds excitement, doesn't it, folks?
All right. Happy you're back with us here on a Tuesday morning, the 8th day of July, if you can believe it already. The temperatures would make you believe it. It was easily in the mid-90s here yesterday. And in South Carolina, it was 90 degrees, 89 or 90 degrees. The difference is I was on a beach last week with my toes in the sand and a drink in my hand. And you know what else I needed, Ethan, if you complete the song lyric there. But I'm just saying. It was great. Fantastic.
Good. I'm glad you got a nice little break.
We did. We had a great time. Went down to South Carolina and just relaxed for a couple days. And found out that a lot of teenagers don't like sand.
What?
I don't know. We had teenagers complaining about sand, too much sand. I'm like, we're on the beach.
You're at the beach.
We're on the beach.
What do you mean there's too much sand?
Stay at the pool. I want to be on the beach.
I don't even understand the logic there.
We had a good time.
I do not like, though, the feeling of having your feet wet. Like if you go in the water and then you have to... And I know they have those little spray machines that you can clean off your feet, but it is really gross when your feet are just caked with sand.
This is true. It's a occupational hazard when you're at the beach. I don't know how you avoid it. Anyway, we had a great time. Glad to be back. So much happened. The big beautiful bill passed for the better or worse. We found out less than we thought we knew before about the Epstein files. I mean, so much has happened since I've been gone. We got so much to catch up on for sure. Coming up before the end of the hour, speaking of the big beautiful bill, one big beautiful bill is what President Trump termed this thing. Apparently, Schumer tried to change that at the last minute, and his amendment got defeated because he hates the name of it so much. But there were some things in there that aren't getting a lot of attention that Wiggins has dug up, and he's going to kind of focus on that. And he's going to be in here at the bottom of the hour, around 8:35. So be sure and stay tuned for that. Right now, though, we are going to get to the short list, please.
The Marc Cox short list.
Dramatic review revealed no incriminating client list. So there's a client list, but it's not incriminating, so therefore you can't see it. There was also no credible evidence that found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. Well, give us the incredible evidence.
Yeah, thank you. Tom Fitton asking some very, very good questions this morning on why we were told they had the list of Epstein guests at his island, and then we're told suddenly they don't.
I would love to be able to, at the right time, take those sanctions off, give them a chance at rebuilding, because I'd like to see Iran build itself back up in a peaceful manner and not going around saying death to America, death to the USA, death to Israel.
Yeah, but they've got some rebuilding to do for sure, but the president's trying to give them a path to peace. The question is, will they take it?
I want to present to you, Mr. President, the letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee. It's nominating you for the Peace Prize, which is well-deserved.
Yeah, thank you. Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday formally submitted President Trump's name for the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, that's been done before, and all the libs on the Nobel Peace Prize Committee were unwilling to cast that vote. So I don't know how that'll work out this time, but we'll see.
I will say, in the wake of every tragedy, there are things that are predictable. One of the things that's predictable is that you see some people engaging in, I think, partisan games.
Yep, Ted Cruz hitting the nail on the head, and we've seen evidence of it from. I've been waiting for Jasmine Crockett to appear down there in Waiters and try to help with the search, but she's been oddly silent since all this happened in her home state of Texas. Others not so much. Rosie O'Donnell, how about that news? Are you shocked? Sitting in her comfortable home where she moved to in Dublin, Ireland. She's apparently going to get Irish citizenship at some point and have a dual citizenship. I've been waiting for her to just leave America altogether, but she might come back if we ever get rid of Orange Man Bad, from what I can tell. These were her wanderings yesterday online as she talked about this horrible tragedy. She didn't even get the death toll right. She talked about the horrible tragedy down in Texas and laid it all at the feet of Donald Trump.
And what a horror story in Texas. The flash floods in Texas, the Guadalupe River. 51 missing, 51 dead, more missing. Children at a camp. And you know, when the president guts all of the early warning systems and the weathering forecast abilities of the government, these are the results that we're going to start to see on a daily basis, because he's put this country in so much danger by his horrible, horrible decisions and this ridiculously immoral bill that he just signed into law. As Republicans cheered, people will die as a result, and they've started already. Shame on him. Shame on every GOP sycophant who's listening and following the disastrous decisions of this mentally incapacitated POTUS.
People love to make that argument. People will die as a result of this. And where is she getting her statistic about, and they already have?
Because she blames what happened in Texas on Donald Trump.
Oh, that's what she's
the lack
trying to
of an
refer
early
to.
warning
Okay.
system.
Yeah, that was Trump's fault.
That was all Donald Trump's fault.
But that's what bothers me. There was an early warning system. The National Weather Service says that they put that first alert out at like 1:15 or something like that Thursday. And at that point, they were predicting like 5 to 7 inches of rain. They continued sending out alerts. Their last alert, I guess, up until it actually came and happened and the river level was rising 26 feet in a matter of 45 minutes, was around 4 o'clock. People are asleep. So yes. They don't have a flood warning system like a tornado siren that would go off, because the residents there, when they were asked about whether they'd like to pay for that, they said no. Which I can't blame them, because until something like this catastrophic happens,
you don't realize.
Yeah, you don't think it's necessary. You don't want to pay your money to get that if you don't think it's needed.
I think it's a good point, but it gets worse than Rosie O'Donnell. Listen to this lady. She is she's a mayor. She's not a mayor. She worked for the mayor. She was appointed by the mayor down in Texas, in Houston. Now it's the former mayor. But she was still on this committee that they had appointed her to, and she started going off. Sadie Perkins is her name. Maybe it's Sade, S-A-D-E Perkins is her name. It got much worse. This is a clean version of what she said, and I had to edit this one a little bit. Listen.
I get that white people are not used to people telling them and calling them out on their racism and telling them about their double standards and other children, and how there's children in ICE detention right now who y'all don't. But we're supposed to stop the world and stop everything we're doing to go and hunt for these little missing white girls.
Yeah, that's how cold she is. She's claiming that the only reason this is making headlines is that it was a camp full of white Christian girls.
I can't believe that you even have the guts to go on social media and say something like that.
She got blasted by the current mayor, who immediately removed her from whatever board she was still serving on. And her own boyfriend, who's a pastor somewhere in Houston, who's a pretty hard lefty himself, came out and distanced himself from her comments.
Good.
Yeah, thank you. You should be. Just like the pediatrician down there who got fired over this whole thing. She had been a working pediatrician in Houston, and went by her name is Christina, but her online handle was Chris Tina, and her name is Christina Probst. She was a Houston pediatrician, and gloated about the victims of the Texas flooding, saying they voted to gut FEMA and they got what they deserved as a result.
Well,
and she got fired like immediately by, what was it called? Blue Ocean Group, I think, was the group that employed her, and said she's no longer part of their practice.
Well, that was the right decision, because she was also saying, as part of this comment on social media, that basically if you're a MAGA supporter, then she didn't care about your safety. She said, may all visitors, children, non-MAGA voters, and pets be safe and dry. So if you're a MAGA supporter, who cares what happens to you, as her stance.
Yeah, Bluefish Pediatrics. I'm sorry if I said the wrong name. She worked for Bluefish Pediatrics, and they fired her immediately upon seeing that, which she deleted, but everything is forever on the internet.
Yep, people have never learned that lesson.
Nothing goes away. Well, our ICE officers are being targeted. That's not a surprise. They were ambushed yesterday. You could have seen this coming because of the drivel coming out of the mouths of the left and the mayor of L.A. and some of these others like AOC and the like. We're going to talk more about that when we come back. Bottom of the hour, Ryan Wiggins on some of the good things you might have missed in that big, beautiful bill. We'll be right back.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got an accident, and it happens to be eastbound 70 approaching Lindbergh. Now, it looks like they've moved them off to the shoulder, so the left and right shoulders are blocked. But at one point, we had lanes blocked, so this has caused a delay back past 141. Northbound 270, still pockets of moderate volume between Gravois and Manchester. Eastbound 64, some moderate volume at Timberlake Manor and between Lindbergh and Big Bend. There's some volume on northbound 55 at Bayless and westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. This report brought to you by The Diamond Shop. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Do you know how to handle the money that you have saved for retirement? Because this is not a situation where you get there and you think, all right, we've saved. We'll just wing it. Let's see how it goes. That makes me so nervous. You just can't do that for your entire retirement. So when it comes to retirement planning, the trusted team of financial and tax architects really are the best. They've helped people all over the St. Louis area and Illinois retire with confidence. And part of what they do is teach you how things work. And they offer a one-night, 2.5-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. And they're held at colleges throughout the area. It's no cost, no obligation, but you learn how to avoid costly mistakes and all kinds of other information. So you can call and register 314-888-5101, 314-888-5101.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. A question I get all the time is, how did we become the largest injury firm in the world? We have over 1,000 lawyers in all 50 states and close to 6,000 coworkers. Our call center is on duty 24/7. You can reach us at any time at forthepeople.com. But the real reason is we won a lot. When you visit our website, go to our verdicts and settlements. There you will see what our clients were offered and what they were awarded at trial. All those verdicts help us resolve many cases fairly and early. You see, nothing beats reputation. The insurance industry knows who we are. We even have insurance adjusters call us for representation because they know too. We've made it easy. On your mobile device or computer, go to forthepeople.com and we will get busy. It's that easy. Call today, Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Tune in to the All Financial Hour with Steve All, Saturday mornings at 6, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Celebrate National Carpet Cleaning Month with Zero Res and purchase 3 rooms of carpet cleaned and get 1 free, plus $50 off air duct services. Book online today at ZeroResSTL.com or call 314-474-2020 and take advantage of the summer savings. Selling your home? Every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. My friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. Check out the only agents I trust. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
The gloves are off. This is the Marc Cox Morning Show. Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com.
I've been warning about this for 2 months. I think the last time I did your show, Laura, we talked about it. I also talked about it on the Hannity show that I've been around a long time. I said if the rhetoric didn't decrease significantly, it's going to end up with loss of life. It's going to end up with a use of force either against a protester turning criminal or against ICE or Border Patrol agent. Someone's going to be seriously injured, if not killed. And of course, the media attacked me. Fearmonger Homer. He's threatening that someone's going to die. Look, I've been around a long time. You got members of Congress, Jayapal, comparing them to terrorists. AOC says we're out there violating people's civil and constitutional rights. You got Jeffries out there running his mouth about the Gestapo. And it just the ramped up rhetoric is going to cause a situation where someone loses their life. We saw that today.
Yeah, Tom Homan talking about the attack, the ambush on ICE officers, and he's right. It's not a surprise at all, given the constant barrage of false allegations by people like Karen Bass in L.A. She's the loudest example I can think of it right now. But you got the others who tried to break into the ICE facility up in New Jersey, and the AOCs of the world and the Ilhan Omars and all of these discussing our law enforcement officers of Immigrations and Customs Enforcement as if they're evil people, not just doing their jobs. Every single person that they're investigating and arresting and going after have legal orders of deportation against them. And even if they don't, to be quite honest with you, if they are illegal, they should be investigated and they should be hauled into court and asked why they're here. Period. And the left doesn't want that. That was the case we had down here yesterday. A Texas police officer was shot and wounded in the neck in McAllen, Texas, outside a Border Patrol facility. This is just south of Dallas-Fort Worth. One police officer was left injured. Local and federal police, I love this line, returned fire on the man at the McAllen, Texas facility, killing him. And you can see the victim lying outside of this facility. That is a pretty sure outcome if you fire police at police officers. They train all the time on accuracy. You're never going to win a gunfight with a police officer. 9 times out of 10. And that's what happened to this guy. And I guess I just got to tell you, we have ramped this up in this country. Every time they do this, something like this happens. With Bernie Sanders, with the guy that campaigned for him from Belleville over here, who drove all the way to Washington, D.C. with a list of Republican names in his pocket of people he was going to kill. The President of the United States called Hitler. And then what happened during the campaign? He gets shot at, almost assassinated twice, And for all we know, there may have been a third attempt. This is the direct result of that kind of rhetoric. And it's a shame that more Democrats aren't out there absolutely laying their fellow Democrats out for doing this. How do they get away with it? Because we let them get away with it. The left is desperate right now. Can you imagine what it must feel like to be a Democratic operative right now? You've just had, and it's not hyperbole, it's not an overstatement, you've had the greatest 5 months, 6 months of a presidency ever, the most consequential 6 months. He's gotten more done in 6 months than most presidential administrations get done in 4 years, by far. The bill that just passed just capped it off. But when you consider what he's done on the border in a very short period of time without any legislation, and what he's done to schools like Harvard and Pennsylvania when it comes to these ridiculous men and women's sports deals, what he's done in Israel, what he did in Iran, what he's about to do in Ukraine. And that's going to be one of the big headlines this morning. The president said yesterday he's going to have to send more weapons back to Ukraine. Because I think he wanted to make a deal. He sees that Putin is not taking that seriously. But I don't know how. I mean, the left is losing their minds. They're probably so distracted by all this winning, they don't know what to do. They're picking every little issue they can. Unfortunately, most recently, this disaster in Texas. Using that as a political tool, the horrible deaths of over 104 people and many still unaccounted for in this river, and trying to claim that somehow it must be Orange Man Bad who did this, that it wasn't nature, maybe it was climate change played a role. But if Donald Trump just hadn't cut the National Weather Service, there would have been more people on the staff, and they could have gone out individually and warned all these people. Nonsense. That's not what they do. Not what they do, and it's not what happened here. What a shame. Speaking of that big, beautiful bill, Ryan Wiggins will be here in a minute. He's picked out some examples people are not talking about that are hidden in this bill. We'll get to all that and more coming up.
Hey, Jeff, looks like your business is really booming, even in a tough time for businesses like ours.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, thanks to LendSeek, our business was able to take care of some outstanding bills and taxes and to purchase inventory and expand our product lines.
Wow. You know, my business needs working capital, but only from a reputable company that I can trust and count on. How does LendSeek work?
Fast and easy. Just apply at lendseek.com. Their AI lending platform gave my business access to over 100 funding programs with one simple application. And it costs nothing to apply.
At lendseek.com, you can receive business funding with no collateral, no prepayment penalties, and no restrictions on how you use the funds. Whatever your funding needs are, seek no more. Our AI lending marketplace has you covered. If you've been in business at least 1 year with annual revenue of at least $250,000, you could get the funding your business needs in as little as 24 hours. There's no obligation, so apply today at lendseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty, so you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/radio. That's leaffilter.com/radio.
I'm Nicole Murray with Your Money Now. Shake Shack is helping customers get more bang for their buck this July in celebration of National Fried Chicken Day. The New York City-based chain is offering a free Chicken Shack sandwich with a $10 minimum purchase every Sunday through July 27th. President Trump has announced that at least 14 countries' imports are set to face steep blanket tariffs starting August 1st. The president, in a series of social media posts, shared screenshots of formal letters dictating new tariff rates to the leaders of Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, and more. The average rate on a 30-year mortgage fell for the fifth straight week to its lowest level since early April, an encouraging sign for potential home buyers. Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says the long-term rate fell to 6.67%. That's down from 6.77% last week. Futures are currently mixed. Monday, the Dow Industrials lost 422, the Nasdaq down 188, the S&P 500 down 49. That's Your Money Now.
This statement has not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I was always tired, with weekly bouts of indigestion. A friend asked me, when was the last time you did a detox? Never, I said. So she recommended Active Liver.
Our liver works hard every day to remove toxins from processed foods and unclean air and water. But too many toxins can overwhelm the liver, causing it to actually store toxins in our body fat. Low energy, brain fog, headaches, bloating, and skin irritation are all telltale signs that we need to act. Water or juice fasts can help, but often require days or weeks of feeling tired and sick. Thankfully, there's an easier way. Active Liver from New Nordic is a natural supplement that helps your liver effectively eliminate toxins on a daily basis, leaving you feeling better with more energy and less bloating.
Within a week of taking Active Liver, I was feeling better, and now I have more energy than I've had in years.
Available in both tablet or delicious gummies, you can find Active Liver online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com or in stores at your local CVS or Meijer grocery.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
If you are just headed out there, it's not too bad today, although I will say we just had an accident reported northbound 270 at Doherty Ferry. They moved it fairly quickly off to the right shoulder, but expect a little bit of slow going in that area. Eastbound 70 looking better at Lindbergh, westbound slowing at the Blanchette Bridge where we had a report of a tire blocking a traffic lane. Southbound 270, some moderate volume headed down toward Ladue Road. Westbound 40 slowing Hampton through 170. Moderate volume westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
All right, let's talk about my friends at the Overhead Door Company right now. Still got their Cash for Clunkers deal going on, and you need to take advantage of it while you can. In fact, it works just like the old car deal did, remember? You've been looking for a new garage door, thinking about it, maybe something a little more fashionable, maybe something that's insulated, which you don't have now. Call Overhead Door Company. Here's the number, 314-781-5200. They'll come out. They'll show you their beautiful collection of doors. Then they'll pay you $200 for your first garage door, up to $100 for a second garage door. So if you have three doors, one big one, one smaller one, you can get $300 credit toward the cost of replacement doors. They'll even haul them away for you. You can't beat that. Take advantage of Cash for Clunkers while it lasts. In the meantime, garage door quits working like mine did recently where the spring broke. Call Overhead Door Company. They're not going to leave you stuck. They're going to come and take care of it. They do same-day emergency service. 314-781-5200. Tell them Marc Cox sent you. You can even schedule your appointment online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. And you know, your home is your sanctuary. You need to take the first step to peace of mind with a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from the #1 Generac generator dealer in the country, Generator Supercenter. We learned the hard way here in St. Louis during the tornado recently that power can be knocked out. But even outside of that, what if the power grid fails and it's 100 degrees here in St. Louis? You don't want to be that person. Get with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis today. Generator, Supercenter of St. Louis.com. Tell them that we sent you along.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Well, if you can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation today. 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters. BannerConstruction.com.
The helm is in good hands. This is the Marc Cox Morning Show. Find everything Marc Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
I'm going to just say this as plainly as I can. This is a simple truth. If you're for a secure border, safer communities, and a strong military, this bill is for you. If you're for common sense fiscal responsibility and reducing the deficit, this bill is for you.
Wiggins. Oh, Wiggins. All right. Ryan is in the studio with us this morning, and that was Mike Johnson, obviously, celebrating there about the one big, beautiful bill.
So the big, beautiful bill is one that I have had a love-hate relationship with.
I understand that.
I do love that the conversation overall is shifting to we have to be more fiscally responsible. I do think that's happening. And Johnson has said that he wants to do another couple rescissions packages and stuff throughout this year, or reconciliation packages, which is even bigger. So if he's able to do that, then I'm all for it. But I've overlooked in my fiscal and my Massey lens the good things in the bill. So I thought it was good to bring up some of the stuff that people aren't even talking about in the big, beautiful bill that all of us are for.
Sure.
And one of them is, it's not as if we haven't talked about this, but it's just dawning on me, Mark, I don't know about you, that this will now allow President Trump, after, 10 years, to finish the wall.
Yes.
The wall will finally get done.
I heard somebody from Fox, listened to some Fox Nations. I drove across the country this week, and I heard somebody say the Biden administration not only killed the wall, they let the steel rust, and then they sold it for pennies on the dollar to be reused, I guess, in some other capacity. And now we're having to replace all that. That's Joe Biden's fault.
Yes. Yeah,
directly.
That's all true. He canceled contracts that they had already paid for.
Right.
I mean, it's so ridiculous. So it wasn't just stopping what was being done. It was stopping things that had already been done. So he'll get to finish the wall, and he's been talking about that since 2015. And that's great, not just because, campaign promise, but picture in 4 years, let's say a Democrat gets back into office, Gavin Newsom runs for president and wins or something. It's going to be tougher.
That's awful. Why can you even suggest that?
I know. He's going to run, though. But it will be a lot tougher for them to do what they did under Biden because the wall will be done. It's not impossible. They will still abuse the asylum system and do things.
But how long will that wall take, though? There's still a substantial amount that they would have to build. I mean, I know you're talking about replacing some of it that rusted, I guess.
There is. But the fact, this is one of the reasons that Trump was trying to get this done as fast as possible. Because he knows he's got 4 years.
Yep.
And they need to start on it, and they are starting on it right now. So whether they'll completely finish it by the end of his term, it'll be close.
Yep.
But they will come close. And hopefully they will. And that problem will become a lot less of an issue, even if you have a Democrat that wants to import as many people as possible.
Well, I hope it's a conservative after Trump, and then they can just continue on.
Then it doesn't matter at all.
This is true.
How about defunds Planned Parenthood? That is a big win that has not been talked about a whole lot.
Yeah, but then now the federal judge blocked that.
Isn't
for
that
was it 14 days it's blocked?
Have you guys been talking about that this
Yeah,
morning?
I mean, that just makes me want to claw my eyeballs out because I just get so mad at these judges.
It is incredible
An
that
Obama judge jumped in and did it again.
a single judge, one judge, not a panel, one judge, overruled not just the president,
Congress,
all of Congress.
I know.
In this time. How about ends Biden's war on American energy? The bill finally unleashes American energy dominance by opening federal lands and waters to get oil, gas, coal, geothermal, and mineral leasing. Trump has already done some of this, but it's now all official. Streamlines onerous permitting processes so that America can get building again. Mark, I don't know if you guys have seen all of the great provisions that are in the big, beautiful bill for business. But, Trump's tariffs are one side of that coin. This is the other side.
Right.
Where
Which
he's
is deductions and things like that?
All the deductions that you can claim so much. I was talking to Todd Sivia, actually, attorney, about these things because he knows the specifics. And he said, yeah, it's that you can claim your deductions instantly on things that usually would take years
to depreciate over 5-10 years, whatever the case.
So it incentivizes you to build because you can get it all back faster.
Yeah.
So that's part of the tariff stuff too, is moving factories here. And I think they increased, this isn't something we talked about, but I think they increased the cap because there used to be a cap on how much you could deduct total. And I believe that has doubled. So that's bigger factories, that's bigger business stuff that they're trying to get to move here. Supports building new factories to grow domestic business operations. We just talked about that. It protects hardworking taxpayers by canceling Biden's illegal and unfair student loan bailouts. All this is in there.
There's a lot, by the way, and hopefully I'm not stepping on your toes, but there's a lot that really is great for parents. Like, for example, I did not know this, but it creates something they're calling a newborn savings account. So basically, it's an initial $1,000 deposit into each child's account, and then parents can contribute $5,000 up to $5,000 annually until the children reach the age of 18, and then they could access it. You can also use your HSA, I guess, for gym memberships. They say now, like, I guess if you and your wife each had a separate HSA, only you could contribute to your HSA. She could contribute to her own. But under the big, beautiful bill, now you could contribute to each other's.
Yep, and that child tax, that program that you're talking about, that starts 1 year from July 4th. So
yeah,
on the
2026.
250th anniversary
There you go.
of the country. But then the other thing that you didn't mention there, but is also true, is they've expanded the child tax credit up to another $2,200. It went up a little bit. It modernizes air traffic control. This is something that if you have taken a flight in the last couple of years, needs to happen.
Well, I heard Noam say regarding the National Weather Service that they're using 1970s technology still at the Weather Service.
Yeah. And what drives you crazy about that one is that you've had a very public figure in charge of the transportation for the last 4 years in Pete Buttigieg.
Did nothing.
And this guy did nothing. It's not just Democrat administrations that haven't done enough. But
that's true.
Biden didn't do anything. I mean, they did nothing. In fact, they said their priority was to do all the DEI stuff, which makes everybody just kind of wring their hands and go, why? Don't you just want to hire qualified people? I mean, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, don't you just want qualified people doing your air traffic control? Who cares what color they are?
No, I care about the color of their skin more.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I think that's way more
sexual orientation.
You're Buttigieg 2028.
I am. Big fan.
Which is weird because there's not an election in 28.
I just think he'd be really effective. I think him and Kamala on the ticket would be fantastic. President, can she be VP again?
What?
Does anything stop her? Nothing stops her.
No,
from
nothing
being
would
VP.
stop her from being VP again. She was worthless the
fantastic?
first time. She
be worthless again for a second term.
Yeah.
Do you think she'll actually have a chance of being the next nominee?
She claimed she saw a poll where she was leading.
So she was obviously she's not come out and said she's running. I think she's going to go for governor of California, which she's leading in the poll for that.
Yeah.
But there was some poll, and I forget who did the poll, but basically it found that for a while she was leading the poll for the Democratic nominee for president, and until a couple weeks ago, according to this poll, was it Emerson College? Does that sound right?
That's a
I
good
know you're
poll,
like
too.
Mr. Poll.
Yeah, it's a good poll.
Okay, so now it's Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah,
Then
Pete
Kamala.
Buttigieg. Although I think Newsom's going to make
Pete.
waves.
Yeah, Newsom's going to make.
He's
Gretchen
going to
Whitmer,
run.
or whatever her name is, she was up there.
The thing we can't figure out on the Annie Fry show is whether or not Pritzker's going to run, governor of Illinois.
He was not named in that
Well,
poll.
one thing's for sure, he won't run far.
And
He might run, but he won't run far. And he
Literally
won't
and
get very far
figuratively.
if he does run.
There it is.
I'm
I was
just
waiting
saying.
for the sound effect.
Thank you. Ryan, can you hang out with us?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll get to a quick break. We'll be back in just a minute.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, that actually made me laugh, Mark. Okay, now, on the roads this morning, we've got volume southbound 170, especially at Olive, but there was an accident reported closer to Ladue Road that may be to blame. If you are eastbound on 364, there's an accident almost right at 270. That's causing a delay. Accident now westbound 70 on the Blanchette Bridge, causing a delay. And eastbound 70 still slowing approaching Lindbergh. That's due to an earlier accident. If you're headed in from Illinois, now's the time, and really no delays downtown on the bridges. This report brought to you by Siding Express. Transform your home with the beauty and durability of James Hardie Siding. At Siding Express, they specialize in James Hardie siding installation, and you can go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free consultation. That's sidingexpress.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
This is Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsley. When I tell people who get in a crash, call a lawyer, but I often hear, I'm not the suing type. Listen, there are all types of people. Personally, I'm not the getting screwed type. If you're not the getting screwed type, call my firm, and we'll make sure that doesn't happen to you. Call Kaufman Townsley. Real people, real results. 314-500-5000. That's 314-500-5000.
97.1 FM Talk is proud to support the first ever Brendan Donovan Charity Clay Shoot happening Thursday, August 7th at Strathelman Farms Club in Weldon Spring. Join Cardinals standout Brendan Donovan, teammates, and local celebs for a day of clay shooting and community, all to benefit Team Red, White, and Blue and their mission to support veterans' health and wellness. Don't wait. Sponsorships and shooter spots are going fast. Visit teamrwb.org/Donovan now to sign up. Show your support and make a difference for those who've served. 97.1 FM Talk, backing our veterans every step of the way.
Well, I've seen some absolute beautiful transformations by my friends over at Rhino Shield, particularly a couple of homes. My friend Darren sent me pictures before and after of that had aluminum or steel siding on it. If you've seen a home like that, and those were very popular back in the 60s and 70s, and of course you have to paint it, and the paint just tends to get chalky. It looks dull, and it doesn't hold its luster at all. But boy, you put some Rhino Shield on there, it makes a world of difference. It is beautifully durable. It's 8 to 10 times thicker than regular old paint. It doesn't wear off. You get a 25-year transferable warranty when they put this on. It adds that instant curb appeal that you talk about, and then it seals up the outside of your home. 100% waterproof. I'm a satisfied customer myself. Had it on my last house for 17 and a half years, and it looked beautiful. You're going to love it. Let Darren come out and give you a free evaluation. Tell him Marc Cox sent you. Call him today at 877-25-RHINO, or just go to their website. It's 877-25rhino.com.
The Cards, the Nationals.
Siteman Cancer Center game time 6:45. Play ball. Siteman Cancer Center, national leader in cancer.
The home of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM KMOX.
Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Your home deserves siding that's as tough as it is beautiful. At Lakeside Renovation and Design, we installed James Hardie siding, built to handle everything the St. Louis weather throws its way. Rain, snow, or summer heat. Not only does it look amazing, but it also protects your home with long-lasting durability and low maintenance. Plus, with our expert team, you'll love the seamless installation process. Ready to give your home a stunning upgrade? Call Lakeside Renovation and Design today or visit lakesiderd.com. Protect your home with the siding that's built to last.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Tuesday afternoon, the very latest on the devastating Texas floods, plus Charles Lipson from the University of Chicago.
The Mark Reardon Show, weekdays from 3 to 6, right here on 97.1 FM Talk. He's right. Marc Cox. The Marc Cox Morning Show, on the air and streaming at 971talk.com.
It's never too early to learn that the government is a greedy piglet that suckles on a taxpayer's teat until they have sore, chapped nipples.
Amen. By the way, since we've got Wiggins in here, we're talking about the big, beautiful bill. When I was in South Carolina, I got to spend some time with an uncle I don't get to see all that often, and he brought something up to me that he goes, here's something you should talk about on your radio show, and I'm thinking, okay, what's this going to be? And then he points out to me, he wants to know when the United States is going to increase the way it values its gold reserves. And did you know this, Ryan? The United States has more gold, supposedly in Fort Knox, than any other country on earth by far. Like 8.133 metric tons of gold. But since 1973, the stockpile's value has remained at only $42 an ounce, putting its total value at around $11 billion.
Whoa.
Statutorily, we only value our gold at $42 an ounce.
Wait a second. If this is true, this could solve a lot of problems.
It could go a long way toward balancing a budget for sure, but the deficit is in the trillions.
Right.
The national debt, I should say, is in the trillions. So you're still, if you valued it at today's price of $2,900 an ounce, which is considerably higher than it was in 1973. Its value would jump to a staggering $760 billion. Now, Scott Bessent, they've approached him about the idea of doing this, and he downplayed it a little bit, saying it's not what he had in mind, but the fact that we're having this discussion highlights gold's importance as a financial asset and a geopolitical tool. Why wouldn't we value that at what it's worth?
I
don't know.
This is government incompetence in the opposite direction.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I don't get it because, you're talking about what, $750 billion you just basically snap into existence.
How would they go about approving that? What's the process
well,
like?
It said it was statutory, so I would imagine that Congress would have to agree to value the gold at its current market value, and then you could sell off a portion of it, and at least you could balance the budget. Now, maybe not for long. I know it's not the long-term solution, but for the longest time, I've supported going back to the gold standard.
What would be the negative of all this? Is there some reason that we're not thinking of as to why they feel like it wouldn't make sense and they just want to keep it valued so low?
Because, Kim, the U.S. Mint can just keep making dollars forever, and it doesn't mean anything, right? But if it's tied to the value of the gold that you have, like there's suddenly a limit on how much money you can print, and they don't want that limit. They lifted it a long time ago, and that's why there's no responsibility at all.
Okay,
for our government.
I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist.
Okay,
but.
Trump at the beginning of this year was talking about, I'm just going to go into Fort Knox. We're going to open the door. We're going to look at all the gold. Why didn't he do that?
Well, they wouldn't let Doge in.
But he's the president.
Well, he is. Now, physically, he could have gone there, but they wouldn't let the people from Doge in because their security clearance wasn't high enough.
So if the president hasn't continued to press that,
maybe the gold's not really there, Ryan.
It's not there, and they keep the value low because they keep using it. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
I don't know either. That's very interesting, though.
Isn't it?
let's just agree that we all just go back to the gold standard and we just go from there.
Well, I think as much as anything, the Fed talks about, and there was a discussion on the Gordon Deal show this morning about the Fed reacting the way they should. They'd cut interest rates if they acted the way they should based on economic trends right now. And it seems like they won't just because Donald Trump wants them to, right? But if the Fed looked at the value of our gold reserves, valued at what they are, the United States is suddenly on a much firmer financial footing than they are currently. I mean, it would change everything, it strikes me. So the next time you're around a congressman or a senator, we should ask them that question. We're going to have to get one of them on the air and who understands this a little better and get them to try to explain why we won't increase this.
Maybe Congressman Onder can
after
give us
all these years.
Maybe he's heard about this. We have him on Friday.
Yeah, that's good. Well,
or
good.
maybe you could get Maisie Hirono on.
What?
She's super
I was gonna
smart.
say, who is? I know. I've
The
heard
senator
the name.
from Hawaii.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just like name dropping her.
Thank you.
Every time she is in Congress and she has a microphone, I'm like, ooh, what's going to happen?
Ooh, we'll get her or maybe Maxine Waters, and
Oh,
I'm sure they'd
gosh.
be great for the economic discussion, don't you think?
Thank you.
How about AOC?
Have her on.
Oh, boy. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. That's going to do it for us. We'll get to the Kilmeade Show here in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned here all day long. The Annie Fry Show coming up. Then Mark Reardon rounding the day out. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.